So, welcome back to the Secret Society of Good Guys. We are all going to do our best to try to talk with fangs in our mouth. This is the third episode. We are going to get into everything blood. How are you guys doing today?
I'm feeling spicy. Spicy.
I feel dead.
Really?
I'm feeling undead.
I'm feeling thirsty. Feeling
Thirsty.
thirsty. Yeah.
For some blood.
I
Oh
will.
yeah, baby.
I will join you.
Oh yeah, baby.
How's your
Has
week
anyone
been?
here actually drank blood before?
Yeah.
My own, like cuts and shit.
Like a substantial amount?
Nah, I don't think so. Maybe like
What would be a substantial amount?
a gram.
Hold on. Somebody says
The
they have
most.
no audio. Let's get this going first.
Wait, what?
Let's see. Somebody says they have no audio online.
It's like Vampire Geek Squad.
I know. It's technical difficulties today.
And a
It
lot
looks
of
like it's
makes
streaming. Okay.
Is it streaming? Can everybody hear
can-
me?
Can you hear? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Because can you hear me?
Audio all good now. That was
Oh.
probably Mercury,
Oh, yeah.
all their audio just by themselves. They're like, oh shit, my TV was on mute. Anyways, okay, officially, you guys, this is a mess today. We're late. The teeth were harder. The stream was harder. It was a little harder to be undead than we thought. But welcome back to the Secret Society of Good Guys. Today we are going to get in all things blood. I have with me Godpill Angel 333, Gordy Two Shoes as always, Paranoid American, and Abby. How are you guys? How's your week?
Great. Just fantastic.
How was your emergency alert broadcast?
Oh yeah.
You know, I left it on.
I
was
did
like,
too.
I'm not afraid. There's nothing to fear. It's just a fucking signal.
I left mine on, but can I say that I don't know if there was a predictive programming or all that, but I did feel nauseous when it went off. And I don't believe in any of that. I don't think that it had any effect, but I do think I might have even psyched myself out or something. But for whatever reason, like it went off and I felt nauseous and I turned it off and it went away like after an hour.
Interesting.
I
And,
wasn't.
yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't thinking about it when it went off like that because I was just talking to somebody and it went off and like it really jarred me. I was like, "Holy shit, that's now!" And then I screenshot, like got that kind of like little thing of dread, like kind of wash, and then I'm like, "Oh, screenshot," and it was okay. I'm like, "Oh, right, that's right. Everything's nothing. It's all a game.
Everything's
Nothing's
nothing.
real."
I saw a post of this lady talking about how within maybe an hour or two she got her period and it wasn't supposed to come, and a lot of girls reported this on TikTok, which is kind of strange.
That's the first I heard of that.
Oh no, I don't know if I saved a couple, but I would have to go back on the previously watched videos and find it and show you guys eventually. But yeah, reports of the period.
Somebody, I think, Gordy, it might be your wind.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I'm sorry. Yeah. Maybe I can
It's okay.
block this. We can figure this
I
out.
don't know how you could block it.
I
We
don't
figure it
know.
out together.
Yeah, I know the EMS thing, there was a whole bunch made from it. And my local system, I had 2 more the day after, just like the local normal one. Like, is this one, it's just, I feel so silly with it.
I love it.
I feel like I have like buck teeth, but it's different than buck teeth.
I'm having the hardest time, man, trying to keep these things in.
I can't even take myself seriously. The way the teeth hit my lips is weird.
Yeah.
Mine are all
Sorry.
rattling around there.
Here's a whole
I'm not having a
rattle.
problem.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
loving it.
Try putting them in with fingernails and red lipstick.
Oh yeah.
You're
was
like,
a
I got
mess.
it all. I didn't even try
Handicapped.
lipstick. I didn't
Well, I
even.
realized I had to put it on after I got it all over my hands. And,
Abby, I like how you're like mildly annoyed with these fucking teeth in right now. Like I feel
annoying.
like I'm in trouble because you have teeth in.
I would have been on time had it not been for the teeth. So.
Oh, who cares about time? Listen, we're going with
Seriously.
vampire time, okay? We have the sun
We have
is
all
out
night,
longer.
baby.
Exactly.
All night.
So we had to adjust to
Yeah.
vampire time like half an hour.
I slept all
That's
day,
it.
so we're good.
Oh yeah, I took a little nap.
You coughed up.
Are we on VPT, Vampire People Time?
Yeah, for sure.
Vampire people.
Oh, fuck my battery.
Like great.
Down with VPP. Yeah, you know
Okay.
me.
So did you guys get bloody this week?
I am. Yesterday,
You are. Whoa.
yesterday my period came.
I actually did want to talk about periods today.
So yeah, I got bloody. I am bloody.
I actually thought it was a good topic. Like, how could you talk about blood and not talk about menstruation?
I mean, it's important. And it's
It is
not
kind of
disgusting,
important.
guys. Okay, you guys, people out there who are like, ew, no. You should know it's a high magic that you don't understand. And you will.
Well, I mean, part of you understand it, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But-
there's people out there, but for those who don't, there's something very special and very important about it. Like for me, for instance, and I speak for me, I was born on a waning half moon where it starts to go into the new moon. So for me, my cycle, I have been tracking it recently because I never did because anyway, we don't have to get into that because I don't have to. It's not necessary for me. No scares. Anyway, so I was like, I'm curious to know how my moons shift from time to time. And I noticed during the half moon and the moon that I was born on, my period usually comes exactly the same every month. So I wonder if it happens to all girls. Do they know the moon that they were born on? Do they constantly get their period on the same moon phase?
Huh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I would keep track of my period with the moon cycle more than I would like period tracker.
Uh-huh.
But I never looked at it with the moon I was born.
I was born on full moon, so
40, the wind is you
it
might have to
bad?
mute your
Okay.
mic when you're
Yeah.
not talking.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
But I was born on a full moon, so I used to have my period on a full moon. But then I really think that your natural cycle should be having your period on the new moon, because that's when your womb would be void. And that's what I switched to. But with bodybuilding, I haven't had a period since January, so.
I haven't had a period in a long time either, since chemo.
I'm
Which
going
I'm-
on 40 years.
Motherfucker.
Well, I actually think I was wondering if guys ever like keep track of their monthly cycle, even though it's like so weird that women will still, even though they don't bleed anymore, they'll still be like, oh, this is like I'm grouchy right now, or my boobs are swollen or whatever. So I
have ghost
wonder.
periods every month.
It's hard to tell.
Periods.
It's hard to tell when I'm grouchy and I'm not grouchy. So, I don't know.
But it's not just grouchy. There's like this whole, it's like a whole, there's a manic to it. There's like a time you go through that you're like, I am so ugly. Like I'm the ugliest person on the whole face of the earth. And like sometimes you think you're outwardly ugly and sometimes you think you're inwardly ugly. So you're like, I'm internally the grossest person there is. Like I'm so gross. The things I think are gross, I'm so mean. Like, and it won't be even things I say. And then I'll have a whole different day that I'm like, I'm the stupidest person. And then it's like, I come out of that peel and it's like, I might be God's gift.
You know what's interesting? For me, it's not during my period. It's before my period.
it's
I'm
like
a
2 days, 2 or 3 days
cunt.
before.
Like I'm
Me
a
too.
bitch. Like
Yep.
I'm the don't. Mm-mm.
Do you find
then-
once when you have your period, you're like, oh my God, I'm not crazy?
Yeah.
You're like, oh
I
my
was
God.
like, oh my god, it was just my
I
fucking period.
Well, I kind
That's
of
why
I
I'm
see
going
it now.
nuts.
If I'm having like the horrible bitchiness where I'm like, gosh, I am like evil today, then it kind of dawns on me after a while to look, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's that time.
With my wife, like, you know, I know for men out there, they don't want to be like, what are you on your period?
Yeah, those are fighting words.
Like girls are like, like I'll bring out the heat.
Never answer.
But I notice for her, I can tell the most on her when she gets emo-y. Everything's she gets really sensitive. Like a
Yeah.
commercial, it won't just be like about personal stuff. It could be like, oh my God, look at that butterfly in the yard. Like it could just be,
Yeah.
and I'm like, are you gonna start your period?
Now that I know my cycle more on the moon, now I'm more aware. Like for this cycle, like I was very aware, and I'm like, Layla, you're gonna change and hold on to your perspective of being positive, and you're a goddess, and you're not a bitch, and you're not a cunt, and you're not gonna act like one either. So I tried to control that because I knew my period was coming. So anytime I felt like the need to, like, whatever the case may be, I was like, wait a minute, your period's coming, so relax, bitch. Take a chill pill, relax.
But
and
don't ever
It
tell a
worked.
woman on her period,
no, don't.
relax, bitch.
Don't do it.
I'm a little
Don't
bit
do it.
envious because there's like
Don't myself.
this buildup of tension in a way and then release, right? But like
Yeah.
I never get that feeling where it's like, oh, I'm not crazy. Like there's no
Oh,
there's no specific point in
Aw.
time where I just
Right.
get to flush all that out.
damn.
I'd never thought about that because it
Yeah.
is a relief just being able to like check my period app and know, oh yeah, it's that
The
time.
relief of even getting it, it's just like, you don't even understand. And it's going to get a little TMI. So if you guys are a little,
I'm sure dudes know too. Like even the relief of my girlfriend got her period. Like
Yeah.
that amount of being like,
it's not even that, like, oh my God, I got my period, I'm not pregnant. It's like a relief, as in like your gut cleanses, like everything comes out. Like number two, it's like everything is like a reset in your
And
body.
I don't feel evil anymore.
Yeah. And
but
I wish men
get
know.
so bloated. Like everything in you,
Yeah.
even though you look the same, you feel it everywhere. You feel like your arms are carrying weight and your boobs and your thighs and everything kind of is a little achy, like you might get the flu.
Mhm. Yeah,
There's like a whole thing you have to go through.
it feels.
I can tell when a girl's about to start her period. If I know girls really well, I can just look at them and be like, even not their personality. I think
Yeah.
they always have this little glow about them. And they do get boobies. Like girls,
They
they're get
grow.
all like, I am like, not that I'm staring at everyone's boobs all the time, but I am.
They grow.
Or if you knew better than other people, if you could just walk by and just be like, now, and just poke them.
Do you know?
Go up to strangers on your period
Do you know how powerful?
with the teeth in on your period.
Period.
Do you know how powerful period blood is, guys? Do you know that they use, well, people who want to use that shit, but they'll use it in magic. They'll use it in love magic. It's blood magic, but it's like toxic love magic. And no, it won't last long. So if you're planning on doing some kind of love ritual with your menstruation, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You don't
they've
follow
written-
TikTok witches.
No, this is from culture in the Balkans, in the Balkan area, Romania, all of that. You want to talk about high witchcraft? These people know high witchcraft, and the stories that I know with blood magic, oh my God. But one of them is menstruation. They'll take their menstruation and put it in food, drinks, whatever, and I guess say a spell over it, or I have no idea. And if they drink it, it's like a way of kind of making the man kind of obsessed with you and listen to you and kind of obey you and want to be with you kind of magic. But yeah, it exists and people do it. But there's also benefits in using blood, like the menstruation blood, like for skin replenishment. They say it's dirty, but it's not. That's where life is created. That's why it's so powerful. That's why they try to label it as dirty and filth, but it's not, because that's where it carries life. So it's just a recycling of a new
It's like healing and
vessel.
replenishing, but
Yeah.
everything that it's a blood magic that you can use without death, which is actually a really huge thing where everyone always thinks immediately with blood magic, like, oh, I have to sacrifice something for it. I have to bloodlet for it. But you don't if you're a woman. You know this exact precise time. And imagine if your whole village of women was under a moon cycle and they were all menstruating at the same time. That would be like so powerful. Like you would have, a crimson
There's
tide.
there's women who actually go out into the forest and, spend, I mean, they used to do it back in the day if they were really into that, if they were not knowing. They would sit out in the forest, and some do it still today, and they'll let their menstrues like seep into the woods, like seep into the ground. And it's like an offering to Mother Nature,
An old
like
crone that I had the privilege of knowing, she actually had her first bleed in a bleeding tent because she was Native American. So they would go into a tent and you would spend the whole week just bleeding straight into the ground.
Yeah.
And then she had her last bleed in the same tent. So I was like, that's pretty wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's the idea in the Abrahamic religions that women had a red tent and that they would all go in it, and that's where they would have their period. That's where like the old people would be if they were sick. That's where birthing would happen. And so it was like beautiful music and all this pretty feminine stuff going on, and guys were like, I don't want to even go in the red tent. I'll stay out here with they were like, oh, it seems gross in there, but probably it was all like feathers and fans and grapes and music and chaise lounge.
Is there something detrimental to because like now you were saying everyone looks at it like it's dirty and it's bad. I mean, it goes in the trash, right? That's pretty much the cultural aspect, is that it gets soaked up and it gets thrown out. Do you think that has like an actual ramification on culture or like on humanity, that now it just goes into like a dumpster next to everything else?
yes, just like our poo and our, whatever, our waste, it used to go into our gardens to replenish. And when you do that, the garden kind of knows what nutrients you need most in your body when doing that. So it'll provide you exactly what you need to help restructure your DNA or help rebuild whatever needs in your body. So I think that's a big part of the piece that we're missing. Like they take it all, and plus we have gold in our shit apparently. So they filter that out. And you don't believe me? Go Google it. We shit out gold. Okay, so they scoop all of our.
I like looking at you as a vampire while you say it. We also have gold in our shit.
we have a gold in our shit.
If you guys become a vampire, you will have gold in your shit too.
Golden shit club.
I'm dying. But I swear this is true. So think about how many people we have on just in this nation, okay? We had outhouses and all that. But just in this nation, how many people's toilets they ravage, pipelines, okay? The amount of gold. Yes. Yes, we are the currency. Do you understand?
It's going to be the next gold rush.
We are the currency.
But back to the period of it all.
Yeah,
I think it has to do with woman shaming because but that goes back to the Bible, because they dubbed a woman unclean on her period. And if a woman on her period sat on your sofa, then your sofa was unclean ceremonially. and it would make you unclean if you sat on it. It's all about woman shaming. So I think that, I don't know, kind of goes into that. It's taking the power away from women.
Yeah.
I have a weird question. Virginity, and we can talk about virgin's blood later, but it's just making me think, would it be more like if there was a cultural thing that it was magic or high magic or something these priests were doing, would they want a woman before her first bleed? Would she be tainted after her first bleed? Or would that be when they'd want her?
They'd want her untouched.
So doesn't it almost seem like the period in some ways could have been a dirtying, like, because the hymen break is also a blood. So couldn't that have been, even a woman having her period, could there have been some idea that it was unclean, or she was broken by that? Or would have that been okay, in some old tribe, okay, now we honor her? I don't know.
Maybe. All I know is the other story of
Oh my God. I got
once you're touched, that's it. Like you're not able to show your face. This was like the latest, maybe 30 years ago. If you were not a virgin, you are locked up in your house forever. Like you're not, or you're marrying an old man with like children, but like old man. They'll give you away to some guy.
Huh.
Yeah.
What
do that anymore.
What do you think? Because I do tonight, and we're talking about blood and everything to do with blood magic, blood ritual, blood diamonds, and I was thinking we'd probably talk about thrill oxide. I don't know what words we'll get pulled off for saying right away, but I know Paranoid American has danced around and tried to find every word that he can even use to say it. Virgin's blood, melanin, and then maybe I can say it like adrenochrome.
Good luck.
Oh man.
I know. So I do think there has to be some sort of power with the virgin's blood specifically, because in so much of the
Yes.
vampire lore, that is a key.
It is, in a sense. I think it's very important. I understood it when I was young because I lost my virginity when I was like 20, 19, 20, around there. Yeah, 19, 20. And I had to guard it with my life. Like, man, if either like it'll go to the stage where even they'll kill you. Like, hey, you're not who the fuck do you sleep with? And it could have been an accident on a bike or something, But Albanians are nuts. But to me, I think there's a higher power there of that pureness, and I think it has to do with a lot of how we women are and our intuition and our knowing. I feel like if you keep that intact, it's more of a, I don't know how to say it. You're not worried about earthly things. It's like you're more in tune about connecting with spirituality and receiving the magic and the ability to see, or the ability to foresee the future, or certain ability that you're blessed with as a child that you know of and you played with as a child. If you somehow keep that, I feel like you'll keep your power more strong.
Like attachment to source. Like,
yes.
Do you think that, how baptism coming into this world, and like, it's almost like a fathering. You're mothered once you're born, but once you're baptized, you get the father, like you're almost 3D now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that sex could be baptism for a virgin? Like where they're almost brought all the way into the 3D. Like they're still kind of spiritual, ethereal before that, but once they, like, that could be the forbidden fruit for a lady or a man. Like they're mixing their DNA and it's cutting. They were in this idea of like the Adam or Eve, how part of them is a rib and part of them is spiritual. But once that you have sex in this plane, you are planting yourself here.
Yeah. It is that idea.
My mother's religion said that the forbidden fruit was extramarital sex. It wasn't actually like she read the Urantia book, which is like a whole other thing, like a type of Christianity. But that I use that term loosely. It just had Christ. But yeah, they said that there was other people. Adam and Eve weren't the only ones, which it says in the Bible that they're not. There was a village, but that the forbidden fruit was sex, but not with each other.
Well, it could be, but then the idea of creation, what happens then? The idea of creating, life, or is not everyone responsible for that role? Are they trying to make everyone responsible for that role just so everyone can become 3D instead of like choosing the path of not wanting to have kids, not wanting to have sex, or whatever the case may be, and go on the spiritual path, nunnery, sistery, whatever? But then again, I hear stories about those women too, and I'm just like, damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those ladies got the right idea. That's what I think.
Yeah. Easy skirts. Easy skirts.
I'm like, oh, I get my little clean room. We share a garden. We share a kitchen. And then I can shut this enormous wood door. And I got my little bed in there. Like, hi, sister. Hi, sister. It's like the same way when people are like, oh my gosh, like the don't ask, don't tell policy of the military. I'm like, if I were a gay man and I was in like 30s or 40s, 50s, whatever age, and you're telling me you're going to lock me on a boat with a whole bunch of men, I'm joining the military. Like, it just seems like an it's like a boy club on a boat. Like, that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I think the nunnery is.
But the nuns
I mean,
don't even masturbate. I asked them.
being
I
in
stayed
the
in a
military, I could
convent,
say it's like
and
the gayest thing ever.
Yeah.
it is, especially the Navy. But I'm Navy, so I can say that. But
I don't know. What branch are you, Thomas?
I was in the chair force.
oh, were you? I did.
Would you argue right now? Do you think
gay?
the Air Force or Navy is gayer? Are you gonna let Abby?
I mean, honestly, I do think the Navy's the gayest one out of all of them.
Especially submariners, right?
If you ever look at what they call the crossing ceremonies, remember, like I think it was this year or earlier last year, there's like a big uproar because some Navy guy was also like a really awesome drag queen or something on the side, like got really popular. And it was like, what a travesty! Like, we can't believe that you would disgrace the military like this. Just Google crossing ceremony every year since like the 1800s. All the sailors get together on the boat and dress up in drag and do gay stuff together. And it's like, well, my great grandpappy did it and he wasn't gay. You call him grandpappy gay, so I'm gonna do it too. And it just turns into a thing.
Yeah.
This is legacy.
No one will see me out here at sea. There's no one around.
It's just us. It's just me and 200 of my bros.
That's it.
So what if I'm dressed up like a mermaid? This is bro stuff. I mean, but honestly, a lot of the time in the military, what guys will do to pass time is just like play gay chicken, which is like the most awkward thing. And it's like if you don't pretend like it's like abhorrent and it's embarrassing, then you actually get hurt. You know what I mean? Like they'll get attacked for it. But if you don't, you just play along, which is even gayer. I don't know. It's such a weird sort of dynamic.
My buddy who's a Marine, and we talk about it all the time, he tells me, like, he's like, that's all boot camp is just like working out till you throw up, eating food as fast as you can, and a bunch of gay chicken you try to avoid.
Yeah, dude, it's so much. It's like that's all it is.
And I don't like it at all. I always say this, like, for my guy friends, like, if you're hanging out and you might know my guy friend and I don't know you, and you walk up behind him and like slap him in the balls, I might slap you. Even if it's like your shit you guys do and you guys gay chicken each other. I don't like when men are hard to each other's balls. It's not funny to me. I'm like, don't do that.
Man, I've had I've had instances where we would go to weddings, right? And men would get super drunk. And I don't know if it's all cultures, but there's a moment of time where everyone's going home, but these men become super drunk and they put these sad songs on and they start hugging on each other and like kissing on each other's cheeks. And sometimes you'll like see like, whoops, someone kissed somebody on the mouth, and whoops, another one kissed somebody on the mouth there. And I'm just like, what is going on? I don't know if it happens in anybody else's culture, but it's happened in Albanian culture a few times, and I just always wondered about that, you know?
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of gay little twink dudes, and every time we'd be at parties or whatever, and all the dudes would get wasted, the gay little twink dude, at first they'd start picking on him. And then there'd be one guy who'd start picking on the gay dude a little longer and a little harder. And then by the time he got drunker, he's all up against the wall with the dude like, "Oh, you're so gay. I bet you won't kiss me right now." And all his other buddies are like, "Yeah." And everybody seems to know it. Like, "Oh, yeah, when Tommy gets drunk, he gets gay."
Yeah.
Only on tequila, though.
There's this guy, oh my God, I'm not
Tequila.
going to say his name, but I think he got like 7 vaccines. And now he's, God help him, but he's in a wheelchair. He's not doing so well. And I don't know, he's not doing well. But anyway, every time that guy came in, he's with his woman, a couple of tequila shots in, like total not with his woman anymore. Like all with the guys at the bar and trying to feel up on all the guys in the bar. And like
I mean,
the woman
7 shots. He just like getting poked.
yeah. I'm just like, wow. And then I'm like, oh, she's probably a pegger. It makes sense. I swear.
A pegger.
Yeah.
Is
think she
any
pegs
woman
him.
really a pegger?
I think she is. If she's a pegger. She's a pegger.
Is there anything to that aside just pure domination?
I don't know. I know some dudes that are into it. Like if their girl would peg them, but I don't know a lot of girls that are into it. They'll do it for their dude, but it's not their cup of tea. I know more straight women who have pegged than I know lesbians who have used strap-ons.
Yeah, it's saying something.
Yeah.
I guess people
Yeah.
are just bi-curious, you know? You know, people just want to know.
They just want to know.
They just want to know. You know?
It's your body. You're just like, what's
They
this
just
all
wanna
about?
know. Like, oh, interesting.
There's
I
so
don't know.
many rules. Everybody is like, give me liberty or give me death, but no one wants to lick someone's asshole. And oh, what? Sorry.
No,
Vampire.
don't be
It's
sorry.
vampire me.
I like vampire meat.
I know you're getting a lot of compliments in the chat about your black hair.
Yeah, should I go black?
I know. Even she was sitting here before we went on, and she was like, "I may have to pop these teeth out." And she was like, "I think I like black."
Yeah, I used to be black, but I'm like, I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. Blood.
Blood. Back to the blood.
Can I do the blood sign?
Abby, you actually look like a Anne Rice character.
Good. Those are my favorite.
That was your favorite.
Yeah, I read every one of the books.
I actually went to sleep today. I took a nap today watching
I did too.
documentaries on the Bloods. Like,
Oh, the
Bloods and the
Bloods?
Crips.
yeah, because Layla just said, "I'm going to do the blood." Like she was.
I
like,
used to go to
twisting up her
school with the
thumb.
Bloods and the Crips and the Latin Kings, and oh my God. My high school was right across the street from Queens Projects, and I made friends with everybody because I did not want to be a punching bag in school. So I made friends with everybody, and then I became a rebel. It was fun.
Who was the coolest gang? If you had to have joined one.
Honestly, Crips. I don't know why.
Because of the walk.
It was. I don't know. I guess.
It was the first TikTok dance.
I don't know. I can't choose. But I don't know because they were like the same, but they were just different.
Tupac was a blood.
Yeah.
Cardi
and he was
B.
from the West Side.
Cardi B was a blood. She is a
Oh.
blood.
Yeah.
I started
you s-
looking up famous bloods.
Hmm.
Cardi B. Coronavirus. Coronavirus. I'm scared, y'all. That was
There's
part
this-
of our MK Ultra with coronavirus. She was right there with the people falling out in the street to like push the narrative as the NBA shut down.
There's an interesting rap song about a blood member, and his initiation and what he had to do. And that song is one of the most deepest, saddest, most tragic songs that you'll ever listen to. But it pretty much talks about his initiation and how they go up to this lady, take her up to a roof, cover her head. They cover her head first, and then the initiator comes and they see this lady's head covered. They rape her, and then they ask her to shoot her, and then they pull the cover off her head, and it apparently was his own fucking mother. True story.
I don't even know what happened. I just heard was his mother.
Well, no, so
Like the trauma in my head.
That it
just-
was his
so
mother.
it's a blood's initiation and what he had to do.
It was like the
And
Miley Cyrus thing.
tonight's episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. If you put in blood 15, you get a.
I was the Manscape. There a Manscape ad.
Yeah,
I would do a Manscaped sponsorship. I am always cutting my hair. I look at those things and I'm like, that looks actually handy.
yeah.
Okay, we don't have to get off topic. Back to the blood.
Blood. I want to suck your blood.
So you said, have you ever drank blood before? And you suck your blood if you cut yourself. You guys do
I don't
that.
think that counts though. That's just normal. I mean, like for example, I never did this, but I've been hunting with people before, and they'll get a kill and they'll drink like the fresh blood from their kill, like a full like a shot glass usually. Like they'll have a shot glass on them to specifically do that. And then even in the military, there was some guy. This was really weird, but there was a guy that got in a lot of trouble for this. But he went to Germany, and I guess he got hooked on blood sausage. And when he came back to the States, there's just nowhere to like get it. And I guess he didn't have access to like any of the quality butchers to like make his own. Long story short, the dude ends up making his own blood sausage with his own blood and was eating it because he said that he just had developed this taste for it. But he got in a lot of trouble. He got, I'm pretty sure he got Article 15 for that.
Well, 'cause
See,
of
I think I brought
the
this
whole
up.
Wendigo thing, like the whole Wendigo mythology.
What's that?
Like the Wendigo is like it's a Native American concept of like if you drink the blood, which the Bible tells you you're not to drink blood, like you're not to eat blood, period, and it says it a lot. But the Wendigo is a Native American, like monster, but basically like you can become a Wendigo by drinking blood, and when you drink human blood, then you have a thirst for it. So it's almost like you get a craving. Like there's a movie called Ravenous, and it's all about it. It's really good. You guys should watch it. But yeah, they start craving human flesh. Is what it is. It's a cannibalistic thing.
There's a condition called medical vampirism, and it's when people actually develop a taste for blood, and they start to like crave the iron in it and some of the other parts. You just look it up, medical vampirism. It's like an actual legitimate diagnosis that people can come down with.
I think I brought this up the other day about how or what effects do animals have on each other when they're hunting in this game of a hunt, and when an animal's captured, what kind of adrenalized blood are they ingesting in the moment, because like the cycle that we don't really talk about. Yeah, we talk about adrenochrome, but adrenochrome is a real thing in nature as a natural thing, is in its natural process. So are we missing something even in our diet, that we feel so weak and so poor? Even with hunting, we don't even hunt our food anymore. So it's like, are we missing
There's
something?
there is something to that. Like I was just reading the Maasai didn't have any the Maasai tribe. I think
Uh-huh.
it's Maasai. Yeah. They're like the average height is like 6'3", right?
Hmm.
And their diet was all meat, raw milk, and blood.
So,
And they
like
didn't
tall
have
Joe Rogans.
yeah, and they didn't have heart disease. They didn't have any of these things until the Western diet was
Yeah.
introduced. And I mean, they're still trying to stay as far away out of Western culture as possible. There's still some of them, but it just happens. We integrate. Can't help
The
it.
Bible says that your life force is in your blood. So that's why you're not to drink animal blood or human blood. Like
There is power,
consuming their life force.
I mean, in
in
the
the
sense
blood.
of like you're eating meat, let's say you're hunting your own meat, you're gonna have blood in it,
And that's okay. The
regardless.
blood
Yeah.
that's in the meat is okay, but to consume the blood specifically, like to drink it or whatever, that or make blood sausage and stuff like that, that's actually considered like one of the big things you're not supposed to do. So even in the New Testament, when they changed the dietary restrictions from you can't eat pork, you can't eat all these other things, the one thing that they stood true on was you're not supposed to drink the blood.
How do you think they'd feel about gummy worms?
They're good,
Because the
man.
gelatin.
I mean,
I
yeah, legitimately because of the gelatin, but also just like if you went back and you were like, all right, here's a gummy worm, here's the ingredients, here's how it's made, and then here's blood. Like, which one of these is good or bad? I guess they'd just be like, both of them. You're not allowed to have
Yeah, they're
either.
both unclean. Yeah.
So, growing up in the church, I was thinking you probably thought this first was the power in the blood, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I remember, like the first time going to some service that was like, there's regular. I grew up in like Baptists and Methodists, and then Lutherans, and then my stepdad was Catholic. Going to the Catholic church and then doing the whole Eucharist thing. I remember going like, oh, it's really blood. Like,
Yeah,
remember being
dude.
a little kid, like, dude, it's blood. Like, they're really saying it's blood. Just being tripped.
You know what's, I don't know. I'm not saying to condone drinking blood, but the idea of like having life force in there, and how people used to hunt their own food and whatever, they used to like take a bite out of the heart as a gift. Tribes used to do all kinds of crazy shit. What if there's something to that gave humans something? And I'm talking about animals, I'm not talking about humans. Hunting whatever, even a fish. Some people fucking take and just chomp on a fish sometimes. It's There has to be something there that they're so adamant about, that they don't want people to do that. And I'm not saying it's good or bad reason. Probably it's for good reason. But what if it's a reason that they are not telling us? You know,
Watch
Like everything
Ravenous.
else they lie about.
I mean, that's because I don't believe anything anymore. Like, fuck these motherfuckers. I want to figure it out myself now. Like, do I want to take their word for it anymore? Like,
I
I'm
know, what
sick of
have
it.
they been truthful about?
So my thought on it is, okay, so like a deer, if I drink a deer's blood that I just killed, I'm going to consume and take into me a part of the deer's spirit. So, so there is power in that.
Mhm.
Same with a cow, same with whatever you're killing or, consuming, you're going to take in a part of that animal. It is their life force, and you're taking it into your life force. So, because that's the whole concept of the Wendigo. So if I were to drink your blood, then all of a sudden I have your life force. So I have not
Mhm.
only my strength, I have yours as well.
So isn't that like,
But in
isn't
that
that a
sense, it's
natural
addicting
thing?
and it's
Because
almost cannibalism. Like it's an addiction. It becomes an addiction because it's a power that isn't your own.
but it's in nature. It's in nature. It's in nature. Nature does it, and like we're part of nature. We're in this like circle of life or the food chain or whatever the fuck it is. Like I don't
Or
even know.
what would be the difference of like you're not allowed to drink blood? Then am I a bigger sinner because I like my meat rare and you
There's
cook yours well? You know
no,
what I
because there's
mean?
blood
Like,
inside the meat. You can't take it all out. It's more that you're not supposed to
What if you had a juicy steak and you just like drained all of the blood from the cooked steak or like off the plate into a shot glass and then just drank that? That would be
that
like
would
the
be it.
unclean version.
Yeah.
But if you soaked it up with a piece of bread and ate the bread, then that's fine.
well, that would be the body. That was another thing in
Or like
all
beef
of
Wellington,
There's a
right? Where it's
psyop to
coated in
this.
bread, so all the juice gets caught by that bread, so you're still eating it, but it's not in like a direct form of it.
Yeah,
or
there's
steak
an actual
tartare where you're
amount.
eating
There's
it
an actual
raw.
amount that they consider clean and unclean.
Who's they?
Would
The
it
Jews,
also be
because these are all Abrahamic religions. Like they all kind of follow the same guidelines.
Moses.
so that's when they uh
We
to
need
make
get
a
into
cow
that.
kosher, they bloodlet it, like hang it almost upside down, stab it in the neck, and
Because it's
drain the
supposed to
blood
run
out.
to the ground. You're supposed to let it go to ground. Yeah. And so Michael
Back to the
in his
period
comments,
to the ground and the
Mhm.
tent in the ground.
the blood's
So
supposed to go to ground.
supposed to go to ground, but we're not doing that at all with any of our
'Cause
rituals.
we're not doing anything natural anymore. We're doing everything controlled how they want us to do it. It's not, nothing we do is natural human nature at all. Like we don't even get our own food. We don't even hunt anymore. Like we don't shit in the ground anymore or bleed in the ground, and we don't do any of that.
Could your blood be your most powerful data?
Yeah,
Sure.
they want it all the time. Oh, here's a blood sample. We need a blood sample. We need a blood sample. Fucking.
See the teeth; they make you so annoyed at life.
And Michael
You're
in the
like,
comments said that
I'm 1,000 years old since the show started. By the end, I'm going to be 6,000 years old. Now I start like,
I'm getting thirsty. I'm about to open my vial. Now let me stop.
in the comments, Michael said that it's not blood in the steaks, it's interstitial fluid from the steak. So it's not quite blood, it's fluid.
Yeah, there's blood in there.
Yeah, but it's
Come
not.
on.
It's blood, but it's not all blood.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so interesting. All the like little the hair splitting that we in religions or with sinning, so that way it's not a sin.
It's all God matter. It's all the same. It's all God. Like, isn't it one and all the same? Like, what is so different between that and that? Like, why are we like this? Is, do you see what I'm saying? It's like they're labeling all these things, but it all comes from one source, right?
Maybe, but then there's also like if I want to bathe in a pool of thrill oxide, that might not be exactly
Not
the
a good
same
idea.
as
Yeah,
a hunter like biting into the heart of a fresh kill.
that's true.
Anything's
And
that's true.
controlled, but it doesn't
like-
mean it's all good.
Well, like the Yulin Dog Festival in China, they prefer to have dogs from a house that are raised and loved instead of, you can look it up, it's like the Lychee Meat Festival. Instead of raising dogs in captivity and then skinning them alive, they find that the dogs produce more fear and adrenaline if they're loved and coddled first. So they get a better result if they steal dogs all throughout the country than if they just raise the dogs to do this too.
I did mean, like, what's the difference between blood and meat? Like, it's the same matter. It's like flowing through it. Like, what's the difference? Blood, meat. It's one and the same. It comes from the same
The meat doesn't
vessel.
keep you alive, the blood does. The blood is the one that transports the oxygen and nutrients. So the blood is different.
But the blood is a muscle. You get the oxygen and the blood.
It's not a muscle. It's a fluid.
The muscle, I'm saying,
Has
gets
blood in it.
blood and oxygen in it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because you have like 80,000
So what's the
miles
difference
of blood vessels in your
between
body,
meat
but
and blood?
fluid.
There
water.
is, it's, Abby, when you said that, that was one of the things I found. There's 60,000 miles of blood vessels in one human body.
Between 60 and 80,000, yeah.
That
Person.
blew my mind.
That's why I got into the Wim Hof method, because those each have a micro muscle, each blood vessel. So the cold works those micro muscles. That's why people have heart disease, because we're never cold anymore.
We're never cold anymore.
We have heating in our houses and heating in our cars, and so we never have to be uncomfortable.
I'm always cold,
heat, too.
Abby.
Not enough.
My
If you
feet
were
too.
supposed to cold, you'd be hot all the time.
So
When you start taking cold showers, then all of a sudden you're hot all the time.
so what's happening if we're doing, well, this is probably a discussion for another time, but what's happening if we're acclimated to heat much more than the cold?
It works
Like the
both
extreme
ways.
heat.
So it probably would constrict the blood vessels as well.
Mm-hmm. I think so
It's
too.
about constricting those little capillaries. They're micro muscles. They don't get any work unless they're actually actively like uncomfortable from heat or cold.
I remember hearing this as discussed as like having thin blood or thick blood. Like if you were from up north, then you had thick blood, and if you were down south, you
Yeah.
had thin blood.
I, being a person that has moved from like Florida to Michigan, and then from Michigan to Los Angeles, and then Los Angeles to Oregon, I've done this like X of my body and temperatures. And I will say that the living in cold climate definitely thickens your blood after a while, where you get more comfortable. And then being in Florida, like I got Florida for Florida blood. I am from Florida.
It's just a weird phrase, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I got that thick blood.
because it's not like it actually like
I'm big
coagulates or
bone.
anything,
Yeah.
right? It's just
It's really that your blood vessels are more conditioned, because if you put your hand in a bowl of ice water or hold up an ice cube in your hand like this, it's going to get uncomfortable after like 10 seconds, you know? But if you condition yourself to it and you do a bowl of ice water and you put your hand in it and you submerge it, it's going to be really, really painful. You're going to feel the pain go all the way up your arm, because all those blood vessels are going to constrict, so that way the cold doesn't go to your heart. But if you can keep your hand in there and breathe through it, all of a sudden all those blood vessels will relax and you'll feel the cold, but it'll feel like actually comforting, and it quiets a part of your brain. Like it turns on the reptilian part of your brain, and it doesn't hurt anymore. And you start doing the ice baths with your hands, all of a sudden if you have cold hands and feet and you do this, you won't have cold hands and feet in the winter at all anymore. It goes away. It's like you're training those muscles, and you're training your body to realize it's not gonna fucking die. So
Interesting. I always wondered how people can like go through that for a period of time. I'm just like, hell no, I can't. I don't think I have it in me to do
I
that.
love pushing my body to extremes. So like when I hear that somebody else can do something and I can't do it, then I want to do it.
Yeah. I'm not
I
there
don't like
yet.
being cold. I don't like being cold. Don't get me wrong, but I did do ice baths in my backyard. My neighbors probably thought I was crazy. I did it for like a whole winter a couple years ago, and it was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it's the quietest your brain will ever be.
Huh.
If you want to turn off every thought in your head.
Ice bath.
Because all you
Ice
can do
bath?
is sit there and be in the moment.
You can't sit there. I'd be like, I want to get out. It's cold.
You breathe through it. It's cold, but you breathe through it, and like all of a sudden your brain shuts off and you can do it longer than you think.
Really? Oh my God.
And then you get out and your skin is hot.
What?
Hmm.
I guess
How
it's
long
your
is-
body. You're not realizing your body is like heating itself up in that cold water. And when you come out, you're just like,
You
what
just
the fuck?
put off heat. It's wild.
Holy shit.
Not a wild change of topic, but I was gonna ask you, Abby, about the Eucharist and like what you thought about transubstantiation, where like the blood and body and it becoming the Christ to eat it, or what your whole thoughts are of that.
Well,
Or like, is it cannibalism?
that's what I
Like,
was
is it
talking. That's what freaked me out going to
It's
the Catholic Church, like that they think
it
they're
is the
them
body
saying
of
it
Christ.
is the body of Christ. Like
Yeah, not a
actually,
metaphor. It's literal.
It's not a metaphor. Yeah. And so
yeah.
they'll actually put it up on the altar. They'll actually put, the Eucharist up on the altar. You can just go and look at it, Um, and yeah, it's the body of Christ sitting right there before you. So it's so, I don't know, it's so weird, isn't it?
Well, that was what I grew up in, was Roman Catholic, and it was never weird to me, I guess, because it was the only
Right.
thing that
Because
I had ever known. I got the opposite. I remember going to like a Protestant or a Baptist service later on in life, and I was like, these people
drinking the
aren't
grape
taking this
juice
serious at
and,
all. They're drinking
yeah,
grape juice and watching movies. You know what I mean? Like,
we
where's
did
where's
grape
like the
juice and
zombie
goldfish
juice?
crackers. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's taken so seriously that you're not like, once the Eucharist turns into the body and once the wine turns into the blood, you're not allowed to throw that out or get rid of it. Like, you have to consume it, or it's usually the priest and like the altar boys.
Hmm.
So like, you don't pour any of it down the drain or anything, because that would literally be like pouring Jesus's blood down the drain, which would be, like the ultimate sign of disrespect, I guess.
Crazy.
so again, here's another example of us not being able to pour blood down a drain. Like, but here our periods were just like meh, meh,
That goes in
meh.
the landfill. Yeah.
Yeah, so wild. Like, so far it's like no religion that we found.
Back to the period thing, because I wanted to bring it up when we were talking about that. Like, the magic part of that. Juan from One on One podcast, and the homunculus, that was another thing you could create a homunculus with, is your period blood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the only thing, some parts of the homunculus get like wishy-washy, because it's like, oh, is that just a man having a baby? And then it's like, oh no, an egg makes a baby for a woman, but her period blood, now this makes a homunculus. Like,
Yeah.
this is a whole different thing.
But really, period blood is tissue, right? It's discarded tissue. So is that like the
It's the
tissue
lining
of
of
it
your
all?
uterus.
Yeah.
It's
What up, donut?
it's like the web, the electrical
Hmm.
web. That's all I could think of. The tree, the veins, or I guess the casing of it. I don't know.
Well, there's also multiple types of homunculi, right? Because like the Aristotelian homunculus is when you believe that the sperm has little tiny like men in it, and you just have to kind of foster them and feed them, almost like little sea monkeys, right? But then there's also like alchemical homunculi, which I think is leaning more towards what Juan was talking about in these cases. And this is when you make just weird concoctions of biological material, bury it underground, usually put like animal feces on top of it. You let it like sit there for a certain amount of time under certain types of full moons. But all of this is kind of metaphorical in some ways, because you're talking like the fecal matter usually that you put on top of this, that represents like the cycle of birth and rebirth, because you understand that that came from something else dying, but then it's also going to give like nutrients.
Cycle.
So it's almost like you're fertilizing your little guy. I like the joke, but kind of like what Chaney was saying, is just like lonely old dudes in the woods that don't want to find a girlfriend or a wife, but they still want to have some kind of progeny or someone to help with chores. So they just whipped up an idea of like, I'm gonna make a little guy, and I don't need no woman to do it, you know.
Here's my
And
rib.
I'll just go outside here behind the
Here's
shed
my
and
penis
put some
bone.
crap on top of it and check back in a month, and maybe I'll have someone that'll mow the lawn.
Original incel, original
Yeah,
incel.
I mean, you're not wrong,
Golden
dude.
shit club.
A lot of the alchemists were like vehemently, you know, not just misogynist, but like anti-woman. Like they were like a score on the earth. You know, they were evil personified.
There was a question asked, like, are periods being related to like menstruation or moon cycles? And they like were making a joke, but if poop is gold, are your periods silver? But is there something about our blood that is silver, or is, you know, we know there's a lot of medical properties in it.
There's
We
gold.
don't know what's in menstrual period.
Copper.
Oh, like Abby is even saying too, like somebody mentioned the liquid that's actually in the meat is different than blood. It's a different kind of blood. Is our menstruation a different kind of blood
Mm-hmm.
than if we cut
because it's
ourselves?
tissue. Yeah, it's tissue. It's not the same type of blood.
So we're not actually cutting ourselves. So, I
Can you
wonder
drink
what
that sin free?
that's what I was wondering. That was going to be my next
Wow.
question.
I don't know. Like Anne Rice really goes into it in the interview with the vampire books, the whole menstrual blood being different.
What does Anne Rice say?
Oh, well, Lestat comes back in Memnoch the Devil for meeting the devil and meeting God, actually. He meets Jesus. And when he comes back, there's this highly Catholic virginal girl, and she's on her period. He totally is hungry, so he licks her pussy. So, and it was like, normally they don't drink on like that blood because it's tissue, but he was hungry. It was interesting.
Was that better or worse than eating rats?
I think it was better.
I think it was
He
way
liked the
better.
girl. It was
Because
better for
Lestat
her.
seems so homo. Like he's so even he just had a homo vibe to him. And so
Was that just the Tom Cruise vibe?
Yeah.
true. That's why I thought it was Tom Cruise's best role. He was made for it.
Iron is the main metal in period blood, or maybe they're not telling us something. So
And isn't iron Fe
Mhm.
on the
Fe.
so
Fe.
so a bloody male is a female. Like that one bleeds.
Well,
That
any iron
male
nail,
bleeds.
right?
Yeah. Iron Man. Burn, burn, burn. Oh, that's what you should start humming anytime your girls are period. Why are you humming Iron Man? Nothing. Nothing.
I've seen a blood ritual in front of me, but not like a blood sacrifice. But it was a spell, a blood magic spell to have someone dream about you and instantly want to reach out to you and speak to you type of spell to kind of like call to them, you know, like really get like send a message that you're calling out to them and through blood magic, and they will respond. And it was fucking mind blowing, honestly. And this was how many years ago? A time without cell phones. I was really young. We, you know, no texting or none of that. And I was overseas, and I'm not gonna say who it was, but
I want a name. That's what we're here for. We want a name. And then what if you said it and I'm like, welcome to the show, Albert.
I don't know what to call her. I don't know what
it
to
was a
call her.
lady.
It was a lady. And that's all I'm gonna say. Okay. So anyway, pretend this is a cigarette, right? And this is where you light it. Okay. And this is the filter. Okay. So what she did was she pricked her middle finger with a pin, and she let the blood draw out, and she took the pin and dabbed the blood on the needle, and took the cigarette and turned it over and started writing the name of whoever she wanted with her blood on there in capital letters, each letter on there. and she filled the whole entire cigarette up with the name. So, and she said something before she lit the cigarette. She said, I remember this part, and she said some other parts, but I don't remember that. I was really young. But she said, how this cigarette is lit, I hope so-and-so lights up for me. And she repeated that 3 times with some kind of other mantra, lit the cigarette, but the first light that she took, she had to inhale the entire letter of the first letter and hold that in, think about him, and let it out. Don't take another hit.
Right.
Take a whole, as soon as you're taking the next hit, you have to take the entire letter up until you finish the entire name. And let the cigarette burn all the way till the very end. Catch the ashes, put it under your pillow or whatever. I tell you, she finished this ritual. 5 minutes later, her fucking husband calls the landline of the house, and he's all the way in fucking, can't say because then I'll give it away, but all the way in West Bumblefuck countries away. Hey, babe, I miss you. What are you doing? I've had a dream about you, yada, yada, yada. And everyone's just there like, what the fuck? And everyone wanted to do it. So everyone started to do it. And I'm just like watching. I did not do it. I did not participate in that because I was like, this is weird. Y'all are weird.
Would that work with like a Marlboro Ultralight, or do you need like a special cigarette for it to work?
Any cigarette, as long as you're inhaling the blood.
If you have an
Wow.
American Spirit,
With the
the
smoke.
letter takes so long to smoke. You're like,
Oh,
Well,
Oh
that's what I was
my
thinking
God.
too. Yeah. What if you got like an unfiltered American Spirit? Like you're just getting stoned off of tobacco at that point.
you have a Virginia Slim, and you're like,
Did any of you guys
But then you
do
got to
that when
write
you were
on it
kids?
with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
tiny little
Little
Virginia Slim
tiny.
with my shaky hands.
Those capris, those were like those little itty bitty ones.
I think she used a Marlboro Light. That's what she used, I believe. Yeah, because that's what they all smoked out there.
Are
Um,
vampires sexy?
I love vampires. I think they're attractive.
I
don't know
think it
why.
would be like banging a corpse, which is gross.
Cold.
Yeah.
What?
Cold.
Oh, when you guys put it like that,
I was thinking about this
Like
too.
clammy.
Like I was thinking, like probably would be like cold, and then I was like, well, does your hair grow anymore? Like you don't age anymore, so do you just get stuck with the same
It
hair?
grows immediately after death
Oh, yeah, so-
because your tissue dies, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't. I
Just
thought
like
that was a
corpses.
wives' tale. Like really, that was just like we're losing all of our moisture and it sinks in, so that little bit that pushes
It
out
looks
is
like-
okay.
yeah, it looks like it grows. But
Maybe,
I don't know. I
perhaps.
was just wondering all these like different facts of like, okay, if I were a vampire, like you have to turn someone. If you turn them, they're like your creation. You love them more than you love your children. I'm like, oh, that seems more commitment than a marriage. Like I'll be like the most non-committal vampire. I'll never turn anyone. And then I was thinking like I wouldn't ever really want to kill people. I would just have to make arrangements. But you could be a superhero if you were a vampire. Like everything
Well,
a
superheroes
vampire
are.
has. I know everything that a vampire can do, so many superheroes can do. So if you really just figured out like with a city, like, hey, mayor, I'll keep your city safe. It'll save you on tax money. You got to figure out the blood thing for me.
that's
Like,
what
I
I
don't know
mean
how it's
about.
going to work. But if Charles fucking Manson can get a cult of women to follow him, I can get girls that will let me feed on them. Or boys. I won't be.
And that's what I
Food,
mean about
right?
being attracted to, like, I find them attractive because of the qualities that they had. They're so mysterious. They're old. They're wise. They have all this wisdom and knowledge. And I'm just like penial, like, human. And I don't think of it like fucking a corpse.
I mean, that's
But
it's what it is.
Because if I were a vampire, that's not how I would look at it. Like, I would look at it, it's like, oh, my kind, But I'm
My
not a
God.
vampire, and I don't know if they're real. Was Vlad the Impala real? Was he a vampire?
When you said it, I pictured a dude in an Impala, like
Impala, pack the cat, better pack.
Vlad the Impala.
Vlad the Impala. Yo, pulling up. Vlad the Impala here.
Thomas.
Yo.
What do you know about Vlad?
Not a whole lot actually, because he
either.
wasn't an American, so I didn't care too much about him until fairly recently.
Slay Romanians.
Honestly, I'm more on like, Hillary Clinton being the modern Vlad the Impaler.
I feel like that name vampire came from Albanians and they're hiding that because in Albanian, the word for vampire is vampir, vampir with a the, like the, and thumb means teeth and pir means drinking. So it's the drinking teeth. That's where like it came from. Vampir. Thumb, peer, drink, thumb, teeth. So it's a very Balkan idea. Like there's myths on it in Albania about like you being an unknown feeder to a vampire. To like you'll have a vampire target you, and they'd have stories of this in the Balkans. You can do research on this, and you could be a target of a vampire and not know it, and they'll come and feed on you at night, and you'll have like random, like little looks like mosquito bites or tick bites or whatever, but they were what they thought to be vampira, vampires, actual real vampires existing in the Balkans. I've heard so many stories, like not just oh here, let me tell you a little story.
What about garlic? Have you heard the backstories on garlic?
What is it?
Yeah, I was gonna ask because
I'm hoping you would know, because I know I read about it recently, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But that like either garlic was like substituted later on and it was wrong, which always made me think like maybe real vampires swapped out the formula or swapped out some of the remedies, and it's like they're not really scared of garlic, but they were scared of some other element.
I know garlic.
does it make your blood taste weird? This is what I was thinking about this vampire thing, because we know with all the antimicrobial, all the all the good properties of garlic. So and we know if we eat garlic, we smell away like the next day. Onions will do the same thing. All the plants that kind of grow like that will do something to us that makes our blood smell weird or make us sweat weird. So I was wondering if foods would, they'll like, if you eat pineapple, it'll make your semen taste sweet. They say this kind of stuff. So I was wondering, like, if you ate a bunch of oranges, would vampires be like, I love that citrus blood? Or if like garlic, they're like, ugh, Italians eat so much garlic that Italians taste the worst of vampires. This is what I was thinking, because garlic doesn't exist in every culture. So if they're like, oh, I want a, different kind of blood, but then I was also thinking blood types. If like typically, I think it's O positive is the world blood type, most common blood type, and it's usually the indigenous people of a place, which usually is the darkest person of a place, like a lot of the darker skinned people. So I was wondering, like, is that a better blood for a vampire, because then it's like that melanin mix, or does one have nothing to do with the other? Like, I was like, this is the shit I think about. Like, I try to give science on a creature that we don't even know is real, that I'm like, if I were a vampire, like, is AB negative blood the sweetest because it's the least on the planet? So I thought. But then there's this other blood type called a golden blood type that only like 47 people on the whole planet have it. And of the 47 people that have it, only like 9 of the people give blood.
Or what about blood that has never been ever tainted through vaccinations and poisons? What about that type of blood?
And sex?
Oh, they were already eaten.
So, but then it's like parents. So it's like, how we're like, if you're 7 years of organic farming, if your parents are unvaccinated and then you are also unvaccinated, is that extra sweet?
Wait, are we
With the
saying that getting the
scientists, you mean?
vaccination might prevent vampires?
Well, no, I'm saying like
be
the pureness
quality
of the
food.
blood. Yeah, like
So like they won't want me if I
There was
if I
a-
get
Be
a
like
shot, right?
USDA Prime.
Okay, if I'm wrong, there was some there was some futuristic vampire movie where people were getting sick because all the blood was tainted. All the people were sick. You guys remember this?
I think so. It was like a couple years ago or a year ago.
Probably. I don't know. It's a few years ago now, but they were like underground and they like worked for a lab. I can't remember. It's really vague. Somebody in the chat will probably know what I'm talking about.
But going back to the whole idea of the garlic thing with cattle, like, and the dairy industry, I read this in a book. Like, if the cows get garlic that grows wild, it'll taint the taste of the butter.
Mhm.
So they'll
Mm.
they'll send all their workers out into a pasture to find every, like tooth and comb, to find every instance of wild garlic growing, because it'll taint the flavor. So that makes sense,
Hmm.
because it'll ruin the whole batch of butter.
Huh.
There's this. I don't know.
The whole batch of butter.
Yeah.
And I like garlic.
So do I. And garlic butter is good.
Well, okay.
Here's the other thing too.
And
I
not on
realized
pancakes.
about garlic is it runs through some people different. Like some people, if they eat an onion, I can smell it on them. But some people, if they eat garlic, I can smell it on them, but it's never the same. Like usually if somebody I can smell onion on them, the garlic runs through them. I don't know. It's weird. I can eat just cloves of garlic and people can't smell it on me.
So were you saying like you feel like you think like does their blood taste like what they eat?
Yeah, like blueberry bear.
So-
Like the bear closest to the time right before they're about to hibernate again, they just gorge on all the blueberries. And so their meat actually turns like kind of a blue and then gets a sweet to it. So this is what I was wondering about people's
Wyoming side.
blood.
Yeah. Like so
Or are we thinking
Like-
too practical in a way of this altogether and
If-
like
I
If
mean,
you
it makes
feed
sense
on a-
because what if there was like head vampires in charge and they just really liked McDonald's, but they can't eat McDonald's, so they just get everyone else hooked on McDonald's, and now when they eat
Right.
us, like they
Tastes
get
like
to
a
have their
double
favorite
cheeseburger,
food.
man.
I mean,
they're very
Oh.
specific.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But what
if you
about if
feed
it's
on
some
a
kind of
Chinese-
chemicals that are like, makes us sweet, tenderizes us from the inside out?
If
I
you feed on
wonder,
a Chinese
mercury
guy, are you
usually-
hungry an hour later?
if you suck the blood of somebody with McDonald's, you're immediately hungry again. Those were empty
Chinese
calories.
guy that's been eating the Chinese buffet.
The only metal that I can think
MSG.
of like being in the blood that they use that can like really flow like blood is mercury because of its liquid state that it can be. So I think mercury is something that is used all in vaccines and every single one of them probably. So it is used, and talking about, Moses and Judaism and the moon and blood magic. I think it has a lot to do with it, Mercury, and being the symbol. Isn't it the moon symbol?
I think Mercury,
Moon
has-
day. Mercury. Moon, right?
I don't wait. Isn't Mercury the symbol with the like little horns on it?
Yeah.
I don't know what the symbol of the moon
I
is.
thought
I don't think
it's the moon.
The moon has like I think like a hook on it and a thing. I could probably pull it up. I always forget I have this thing in front
My
of me.
brain doesn't brain sometimes,
I'm like, oh, you just put me to work. Hold on. I think I can do that. Oh, that's what we're doing here right now.
I was looking up some of my notes on
Daybreakers, thank you.
vampirism, and there's actually something here about Balkans that I glossed over previously, but since we were talking about that, so my note here is in 1645 there was a Greek librarian that worked under the Vatican. His name was Leo Alatius, I think, and he basically documents vampires in the Balkans, and he calls them Ritualistic or something like this. And the work I also can't pronounce. It's like De Graecorum Hode Quanorum, and it's basically on certain modern opinions among the Greeks. And he talks specifically about a guy in 1656 named Juri Grando, who was basically in modern day Croatia, and he was rumored that he became a vampire after dying, and this was the first documented vampire in known historical records in 1656. And then there was another one in 1725, a Serbian guy named Peter Blažević, and he was known to have turned into a vampire and killed 9 villagers. And this was the first documented case of basically like vampire hysteria. And one of the versions of that story is that after he does this, he returns back to his house and he kills his own son and drinks his blood and eats his flesh. And I guess this story was picked up by Voltaire during the Enlightenment, and he passes the story around. And this is like Voltaire might have had like a huge hand in making vampires part of popular culture today.
Probably, yeah. Crazy. I'm telling you, there's some weird shit in the Balkans. They have dragons, they have vampires, all kinds of shit out there. Crazy
what do y'all
stuff.
think about hemophilia though, and the royal family? Because really, hemophilia, hemo is blood, philia, it means love. It literally means blood love.
Huh.
That's what they do. They
'Cause we
cherish
don't
their
call
bloodline.
diseases usually philia. That's weird. That's usually not, I mean, the etymology of
Almost
it all.
like they've turned it on, because if you look around the time, because isn't it Rasputin with that's where we hear this hemophilia and this stuff come into our zeitgeist really heavily. That would be like around this Great Reset time, that instead of us being like, oh, they all drank blood, they were all blood lovers. No, no, no. They were hemophiliacs. Like their blood didn't clot. But
Yeah.
you're right. Hemophiliac, typically, if you were a philiac of something,
You're a lover of it.
Yeah.
You're not. It's not. That's not how we name diseases, generally speaking.
Mm.
Like
yeah, that
that's
is
not
interesting.
a root word that we would use for a disease. And it's just weird that it like, okay, so a father who has hemophilia won't pass it on to his son. But he'll pass the carrier gene to every one of his daughters. Like they will always get it. And it's just weird because they have this low factor 8 in their blood, which I learned about only because my daughter has low factor 8. And
What's low factor 8?
Factor 8, and it's weird because they don't number it with number it with Roman numerals. So it's factor VIII. I don't know. It's just what makes your blood clot. I guess it's the clotting factor.
Interesting.
Yeah. So people with low factor 8 either have classic hemophilia or they have what they call Van Willebrand syndrome, which I thought was weird. But that one's opposite. Like that one affects men and women because hemophilia generally just affects boys, or men. But women can be carriers.
Boys to men, but boys to, sorry.
BBC,
ABC, BBD.
the East Coast family.
But have you guys ever seen the royal family like bloodline, like starting with Queen Victoria and how it passed all throughout the family, and it ended up in like the Spanish, the Russians, all of it, because they send their princes and princesses to other countries, so they become the sovereigns of these other countries, and then they all have hemophilia. Have you seen that? Let me pull up. I have too many tabs open because I pulled it up so I could show you guys the.
I think that's what you call exogenic dynasties, is when you send your kids off to foreign lands to rule.
Like Meghan and Harry's kid will be here when it becomes the president.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they count. I think that was more of Harry just like seeing a product that he liked on the TV and he was like, someone buy me that.
They said Prince William did the same thing. He liked Britney, and then there's always a Britney. He liked Britney, but he also liked Lauren Conrad from The Hills, and he tried to date her, and she didn't really want anything to do with it. So he got Kate, his wife, who looks just like Lauren from The Hills. And I'm filling space until Abby shares her screen.
Well, I want to pull up more than one, so so it's taking me a second because I opened
Oh,
up the
okay.
wrong browser. So hold on.
The wrong browser.
Yeah.
When I was thinking of blood too, like the first movie scene that came to my mind was the girl in the water at the beginning of Jaws. If Jaws 1, where she gets pulled around the very first shark attack. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the weird part about that scene is I don't remember what, like her femur bone or her hip, whatever happened in the water, it really broke a bone in her body. So all that trauma and pain and screaming is entirely real. That's the only take. And they used it for the movie. And so every time I think of that scene and I watch it, it horrifies me because I know she actually has a broken something huge going on.
This is like Milo and Otis all over again.
Don't do that to me, Milo and Otis.
They lost
where'd it go?
like 3
I
or
didn't know if you
4
guys could actually see it.
doubles in
Okay.
that.
No, I have to like turn a little switch
Okay.
down here, and then it goes flink.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So this starts with Queen Victoria, and Edward. Okay, but then it goes into the Queen Victoria that we know, who married Prince Albert, and she was a carrier. So the circle that's half green is a female that's a carrier. A yellow circle is a normal female. Normal male is a yellow square, and a hemophiliac male is a green square. So it goes into all their children, and you can see that she had 2 females that were carriers, and one that Leopold was a hemophiliac. But you can see like how it's passed on through all these different generations, and you can actually see where the where cousins married too, and passed on to both 2 of their 3 sons were hemophiliacs. So it's kind of interesting. Can you see this one now?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a like picture example.
If you zoom into that screen, yeah. So imagine, I don't know, it's just so wild to me because you don't really hear about that condition except in the lore of the royals.
Yeah.
Not that it doesn't happen in the world, but it doesn't
Bloodlove,
really
though.
seem prevalent as it
That's
does
in my
in their...
family. My grandpa was hemophiliac.
Really?
Yeah, where he would like if he cut himself and he didn't realize it, he would just keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding until he got they usually get some kind of special ointment. I can't remember what it's called. But I mean there's like a million ways to treat it. He was on all kinds of medications for it. But yeah, it ultimately ended up not ended up contributing to his death.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Maybe
He just like
needed
fell.
some
He
blood.
fell one night in the middle of the night and like lost a lot of blood.
Wow.
Holy shit, that's scary.
I'm anemic. Really anemic. I don't really know what it means.
Low iron, right?
Yeah. I got low,
Reflects your eyes
oddly
on.
enough. I got low phi in my mail.
I remember had to drink that stuff as a kid. Liquid iron, in this red bottle. Oh, it was not pleasant at all. But apparently it's great for the thyroid, to heal the thyroid.
Do you have any of you had stitches?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? How do you
They
have?
stitched
How
up.
have you guys not having stitches before?
I do not have
No.
stitches.
I don't have stitches.
That's all right. Yeah.
I swear. Well, actually, no. I had stitches when I had surgery here.
Oh, hey,
Um,
I was going to ask you
for
guys.
that
You guys have moles out
extra
there.
meat here.
What?
Am I muted? You guys all
What'd
have
you say?
mute right there?
I have
Of
them
what?
all right there.
I did right here.
No,
Yeah.
I just got a pimple.
Oh. I just,
That's how you can tell if
I
you're a
have them
clone or
in a-
not.
Oh,
Really?
Monroe's a
If you get a
clone?
pimple?
so I wonder if
I-
Thomas
Or
is
mole.
royal now.
The mole.
This is so
What does Thomas
silly
taste
and
like?
shows my age a little bit,
I
but
think
I'm
you're
so
right.
old. Like Cindy Crawford was
There.
everywhere when I was growing up. She was on like every commercial, Cindy
Mhm.
Crawford. And she was also on MTV House of Style. And I remember her telling a story once of her mole right here. And the kids in school would say, "Hey, Crawford, you got chocolate on your lip?" And I don't know why it makes me fucking laugh every time. like her big mole that became her like huge thing. That was the thing she was picked on for as a kid. Her mole.
A mole.
Is that usually how it is though? Like the thing that makes you stand out as a kid is what makes you get ostracized. And if you were able to hold on to that thing through all of that, it ends up being like your superpower. But for so many people, it just gets beaten back down into the mold, you know, and it never comes back out again.
Yeah, well, because reality transurfing teaches that it's a pendulum, and that your pendulum, the thing that makes you unique, is what will make you popular. Because like people who become homogenous, like I want to look just like the superstar. When you look just like her, you're never going to be famous because there already is her. You see what I'm saying? So it's the one thing, like Jennifer Grey from
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing, when she had got rid of her nose, and then everybody made a big deal about her nose. But then once she got rid of it, she was like, nobody, who was she anymore?
She's still around. We could probably get
Yeah.
her as a guest on this show, and no one would even know. It
I know
was
they wouldn't know it's her.
They would just think it's a different Jennifer Grey, and most people wouldn't even know anymore that baby was Jennifer Grey. Like
Yeah.
she's.
And it's funny because I remember watching that movie and thinking her nose was like big, and then now when I look at it, I'm like, she just looks normal.
No, she's
to me.
cute.
She's so cute.
It makes me
Yeah.
bummed out. It makes me
Me too.
sad. Like she just left,
Yep.
and then we never saw Jennifer Grey again.
Yeah.
She's even cute in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Yep.
Oh, is this the sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I got it. Jennifer
I got
Grey.
it now, yeah.
I know. Bummer. Yeah, I do want to talk about Rh negative blood and what you guys think of this. This is what else I was wondering for vampires or even alien bloodlines or whatever people think. My mom is AB negative and my wife is AB negative. And I know it's super rare, so I'm not. But I was wondering like what's the difference of our negative and positive Rh? If anyone knows. I didn't look up any of that. I some of the stuff didn't interest me. I would rather watch documentaries on the Bloods and Crips.
I did, but I don't remember right now. I did know.
Which is the one that tastes like blueberry again?
You don't find out that
Yeah.
on this meeting. They don't tell you at the beginning of this
like
episode.
The white dum-dum, the mystery dum-dum.
One thing I thought was fucking crazy is that horseshoe crabs have blue blood. I was looking up animals that had different color blood. So horseshoe crabs have blue blood, and 1 gallon of their blood costs $60,000. And so I was like, dang, is that a lot for a gallon of liquid?
What do people do with the blood?
They test medicine.
It's
for it
in
with it.
tons and tons. It's like the most valuable, unknown, and widely used ingredient in things. I don't like so much stuff. And so then I was like, okay, well, how much for a gallon of human blood? Do you guys have any guesses? If horseshoe crab blue blood costs $60,000 per gallon, how much is a gallon of human blood?
Well, this needs to be quantified because are we talking like we have a PPO plan? Is this going through like a few different doctors and insurance companies? Or is this like
I'm talking
Are we talking street price?
I know a guy. I'm saying I know a guy. I'm saying I know a guy.
Okay.
Like gallon, right?
By the gallon. What are your guesses of human blood if horseshoe crab blood is 60K?
Mm.
Less, because you can actually buy it from blood banks. Blood banks are actually private. And
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
not going to
actually-
cheat by going on AliExpress right
Yeah.
now.
So I think you can get human blood pretty damn cheap.
I think it's way cheaper. Yeah.
I'm gonna say $800 for a
Mm-hmm.
pint. I don't know the what is that, 8?
Or
4?
maybe not.
8 pints.
Somebody's
going
going to get the gallon of blood. Whoever gets the closest without going over.
This is Price is Right.
Okay.
You guys go, and then I'm either gonna
This
do
is
like a
the price,
dollar
this is right.
over or under.
What's the
$600.
What's the
Six-
going rate?
666 cents.
It's
657.
$1,500 per gallon.
$1,500 per gallon.
$1,500 per gallon. So here's some other weird liquid costs. Abby, I thought you might know this one. How much is a gallon of black printer ink?
Well, we usually buy the powdered toner. I don't know.
A gallon of
But I don't
black
do
printer
the
ink,
financial part.
$2,700.
Ooh,
Oh wow,
dang.
we're on the bottom of the barrel.
Okay, yeah.
Hold on. We could make printers that run on human blood and save money.
This is what I'm saying. Mercury by the gallon. How much do you think a gallon of mercury is?
Oh, that's expensive stuff. Probably like 180,000.
3,400. 3,400 got a gallon.
Really?
Here's some king cobra venom by the gallon.
And
That's
you
gonna be
pick new
expensive.
friends if this is the shopping list you come out with.
King cobra venom by the gallon, $153,000.
Oh wow.
Here's the craziest one though.
Wow.
Scorpion venom per the gallon, $39 million.
Could you imagine how many
Really?
scorpions you'd have to?
But a gallon
Handle?
gallon of scorpion, like you get like tiny little drops out of the scorpion. How
That's
many?
what I'm
how many
thinking. I was like, I could see why.
Do you have to go like this, like
how many
milk it?
scorpions you gotta get a fucking gallon, man. Just still, God.
How many times can you milk a scorpion? Like one scorpion? How many times?
Yeah, 3.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I didn't do
I'm
that
not-
much work.
Not yet. We'll find out.
Hard work.
Another weird for LSD, it's 123,000 a gallon for LSD, and then Chanel number 5 per gallon, $26,000. So you can get so much more human. You can make a perfume out of human blood, and it would be cheaper than Chanel number 5.
Wow.
It's weird.
And it smells like.
Nope.
What does blood smell like to you guys?
Pennies.
Does it have a smell to you? Pennies, right? Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
It tastes
Yeah.
like pennies
Like when you
too.
tastes like pennies when you get popped in the mouth and you bleed.
Mm.
You're like, oh, pennies.
What are you getting popped in the mouth for, Gordy?
Why are our veins?
Wait,
blue?
today or
Today.
Did they figure that one out? The whole theory of like, is our blood really blue? And then when it hits oxygen, it turns
Yeah.
red, and our veins are made of blood, and that's what our cell walls are made out of.
I mean, you said you never had a stitches before, except for like surgery here. I mean, I don't know if this is just like a saying, but I know I've cut myself to the point where like the blood that came out was like dark, like way darker than like just a regular surface level blood that comes out.
Really.
I don't know if that's arterial blood or if that's something else, but it's like dark purple almost.
Interesting.
Or maybe that's just because I come from another planet.
No, right here. When I cut myself, I have a scar right here. You can see it. It was like split open, and I felt like it got so deep red and then almost white. Like it was like a different thing started to happen. I look like the Elephant Man. It took me like probably 30 minutes before I was like, okay, I'll show the doctor what it looks like. I just didn't, because I knew they were going to do this, and then they did this. They were like, oh,
No.
and I knew they were going to do that, and that's what I was trying to avoid. I always just get horrified. Like, even when I got cut open of recent, I didn't see any. Like, I laid in the hospital, and every time they came in to change my bandage or do whatever, I just turned my head. I didn't look at it. It's fine. And then the last day, the doctor's like, how are you going to take care of yourself if you can't even look at this while you're here? And he's like, I think you should look at it before you leave. And I'm like, look, I'm looking. I'm looking. Can I get out of here? I'm staring now.
You want to do a selfie with me?
Yeah, sorry. I was just trying to make myself fucking comfortable. Blood. Do you guys get queasy with blood?
No. Like flesh hanging out, I do, but blood, no.
My wife cut herself of recent, and she fainted. Poor girl.
I wonder what it is that makes certain people react that way to blood.
That's me, dude. I don't even have to see it. If I go in and I have to give blood, I like the last time I fainted and they had to bring me apple juice.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it just with your blood, or is it with any type of blood that you see?
I didn't even see the blood. I just knew that they were taking the blood, and just knowing that blood was happening and that it was like being taken from me, it just made me queasy as hell. Like if like I remember my girlfriend's mom had been to the hospital and we went in, they were talking about like some procedure that they were gonna have to do, and just them describing what they were gonna do, I passed out, which I feel bad because they were like trying, and then all of a sudden it's like about me. I felt like an asshole, but yeah, like, that's been forever. I remember when I was a little kid and I saw the Lost Boys, and like, you know, someone had like blood on them, and I got sick.
Does this topic make you feel queasy?
Not really. It's for me. It's
cool.
like if I have to visualize it, and like for the needles specifically, I can't not like see it at a microscopic level. Like I see the metal going into my arm, like up close, like I'm on like an IMAX theater, and all I can think about is like, what if I just twitched my arm right now, like real fast, you know what I mean? And then I see it like breaking off and like tearing a little hole out, and just going through all those scenarios. At some point I get to such an extreme that I fucking pass myself out.
Yeah,
I do that to myself, except I make myself throw up.
Yeah.
Like when other people are like, oh, I'm not, like, everybody has the superpower of certain sickness. Whatever certain sickness, like I suck with headaches and I get migraines and I just suck, but I can throw up. Like I can just throw up and move on about my life. Like I'm quick with it. I know it. I know other people, it wrecks them. I'm like, oh, I'm a puker. Like where I'll just, and I will never throw up on anything. I always make a toilet. Like I will always make a receptacle because I get in my head in a way, and I know all my auras, that I can just think of my belly. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I think of everything I ate in the day, and it doesn't matter how healthy, how I think of it mixing with my stomach acid, I'm done. Like I think of my internals working and I'm done.
I can't. The thought of throwing up makes me want to cry. Like throwing up, I cry. I can't. It's like I don't like it. It's like
I know things to make it like this is so I've done in life. Even if you have like cold, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna be sick, I'll drink something really cold beforehand, really cold, and then it's so much better. There's actually better things to throw up.
Oh, I know that.
I'm a puker.
I'm the girl who's like been pregnant 5 times and I got morning sickness every time. So
what's the best thing to throw up?
Cold milk.
The worst thing is popcorn.
Popcorn is awful because it gets stuck in your nose. Coca-Cola too.
Oh, and it's chunky.
Oh
and
man,
it like comes up. It
scratches
your throat.
I had food poisoning one time years and years ago. I'm like a like a real like projectile vomiter. Like I don't vomit often, but when I do, it's an event, you know. It's like
That's your superpower.
something's gonna happen. Yeah, it's a blah.
Exorcist.
Blasting through walls.
I'm a real projectile vomiter.
But I really did like vomit so bad that it was so revolting. I gotta take these fucking teeth out.
I know. I thought you were gonna choke on one in a minute.
I'm eating with the. I don't know. I'm doing it.
They ain't clacking around with in my mouth. But I burst the blood vessel in my eye, and my whole eye was like, oh, did I look up from wiping my vomit away? And I look up and all my whole eye is like completely blood red.
Oh wow.
That's scary.
Red.
Does that happen to any of you guys?
Dude, that was
Blood red eye.
Like I went to Peru, and I guess it was just like a dramatic change in altitude from fucking Florida to the top of like Machu Picchu, right? But we're taking the plane back from Cusco back to wherever the hell we had to fly out of, and I had this like little vein in my eye, and it just got fucking huge. It looked like a pimple in the eye, and on the plane when we hit a certain fucking altitude, that thing just like exploded, and my whole eye was just like pure red and blood, and I went and looked at it, and I just like immediately passed out.
You're like, oh, what happened?
What happened? And it's exactly what happened.
You know, I low-key thought that was always cool. I was like, oh my god, that shit's so cool. Like I low-key wanted one. Like I want like a cool red eye. I always thought it was
Just
cool.
rub the shit out of your eye with something in it. 'Cause that's what happened to me. I rubbed my eye so bad one time that like I burst every blood vessel in my eye.
What do you think of those?
So like my green eyes with the red background, it looked wild.
I was surfing once, and I came off this wave. There was this dude that shouldn't even have been in this water. It was a surfing beach. Anyone else in the water was on boards, and I didn't even see this dude. And he wasn't even on a board. He was just like lone dude, just sitting in the surf with his. And so I was coming off my board, and I was just about to stand up. Like I pushed up on my board, and I was about to kneel, and I saw him as I was the wave crest, and I was about to come down, and he was like, doo-doo-doo, and he saw me, and I tried to cut my board back, and his finger went right into my eyeball.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, and like I grabbed my board and I just like dragged it up. It's like attached to my leg. It's just pulling up, and I'm just walking up the beach, and my brother's like, oh, what, did you hit your head? That probably smarted. He thought we banged heads. And when I pulled my thing down, I had blood coming out of my eye, and thank goodness his finger went up into my eyeball, like hit like in here, but my whole eye was so red and black.
My eyes like starting to like
I know, that's really disturbing.
like watering.
Like blinking, like irritated.
There was so much speed on it. I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade. Florida problems.
Snort a lot of bath salts, will be fine.
What do you think that those conditions that people like cry blood, or they're so stressed that they like pour blood out of their pores? You ever heard of that happening?
No.
It's like Ebola?
There's an actual
I thought that was like a vaccine side effect.
I thought that was like the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, like the statue.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it is kind of a lot of associated with that condition where some has your adrenal or something, but like you're in such a heightened sense of stress like that you're in
like
such a stress that, yes,
in the garden of...
that's what
What'd you say, Abby?
going to, yeah.
Jesus sweating blood.
Hydrosis.
The night before the crucifixion, when he knew he was going to, he asked his disciples to stay awake with him in the garden of, I don't know,
Hematidrosis.
Anyway, he was sweating
remember
blood.
which
He
one.
knew he was going to be crucified.
Yeah.
He knew it was happening, and so he was so stressed. Even though he accepted it as part of his fate, he was pretty stressed, and so he was literally sweating blood.
Huh. That would be so nerve-wracking.
I would pass out.
You would, huh?
Good to know. Like, it's good to know these things now, if we ever are on a challenge, because we would assume Thomas would be the one that could handle certain things, and he's like,
I could honestly, I wouldn't say anything. You would just see me pass out, and then maybe come back to, and I still wouldn't say anything.
Well, we tried to get you to avoid it. We'd be like, don't show Thomas. What else?
I wanted to ask if
go
anyone
on.
here ever did a blood oath before, or like blood. Like when I was a little kid, that was like the highest form of being a best friend. Is you would be like blood brothers.
Yeah.
We
I
always
did.
tried, but
When
I
I
could
was a
never
kid.
poke myself
Yeah,
and make
dude.
myself bleed.
I don't even remember that kid's name.
I did.
Did you,
when I was a
Chaney?
kid.
I did.
So we all have been blood brothers at some point. Even as little kids, you understand that there's like something powerful about that. Even if it's fake, it's kind of not fake because you make it real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're
It's
doing
so
this
weird.
ritual.
Yeah,
It's
two
very
little
weird.
kids
Do you
cutting
remember it
themselves.
from the movies?
Yeah, I mean,
Remember how
I
it
feel like I
got
remember everyone I've
big?
ever had a blood oath with, and I'm not talking
Like, it
about
was-
like
there was
you know,
some.
they were
I
happy
remember the
blood oaths.
homegirl I
Yeah.
had a blood oath with. Like, I felt like if I had a 40 right now, she's not dead. I don't know if she's dead, but I felt like I would have been like I felt like I had this connection with her right now. Deep, like, I remember that homegirl.
Yeah.
Was it My Girl? Did they become blood brothers in My Girl?
That's probably where I got it from, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I
Yeah.
think it was that movie.
What's
That's
that?
traumatic movie.
Yeah. That they
Yeah.
were blood
Is
brothers.
it My Girl?
I think so.
It was in some westerns when I was a kid. Like it was like an Indian thing, or Indian blood ritual, before battle to bond. I don't remember how it went.
That's what there
Probably
was,
from
like,
some-
mafia blood oaths.
Oh yeah, that too. We call it the canon.
What's that?
It's a blood law, and blood for blood. They have people who, let's say, for instance, my brother was killed, right? And if we know the family who's responsible for it, we have the right to take blood on their side. So there's actual like people who do not leave their house, like kids who do not leave their house because of this blood law. Because if they leave, that kid is gonna end up being dead, and they have every right to kill that person. Like it's so they hide in the house, but the family all knows if that child goes outside and is dead and dies, you can't do nothing about it. It's a blood war.
Who didn't clean their room this week? You're going out to get the bread.
I've heard stories though of people that like their family had to leave Sicily for whatever reason, and they have money in banks and property there, but they can't even, like, a grandkid can't step foot back in Sicily because if anyone finds out that they're there, they'll be dead.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this real? But
there's kids who are born into it and who do not leave their house ever since the day they were born, and they're probably like 17 years old, still not seeing school, not seeing like anything, not allowed to leave the house because they know they'll be dead.
Like the Hatfields and McCoys.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. And you had nothing to do with it. Like you're born into that, knowing that, hey, you're gonna die if you go outside. You know that, right? Why? Traumatic.
Crazy. I was just thinking about, because another way that a blood oath, people would, if I make an oath to you or swear to you, they would slice their hands like that and then squeeze their blood onto the ground again. So it's putting the blood to the ground. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we are coming to a like we have to ground out our blood somewhere.
Yeah.
Like we're not doing it at all.
Well, it's like you're putting into a more permanent record that way too.
Like you're becoming part of it. Like somewhere, if there is a thing, like if an attachment to this realm, somewhere we stopped giving back to it. It doesn't know us anymore. Like all other periods of time that humans ever existed, whether it be different feces or, period or placentas or, even the clothes we wore would deteriorate. Even everything we used would go back into now even the plastics we use don't go back in. Like it doesn't know anything about us. The
Yeah.
realm doesn't know us anymore.
I've still got T-shirts from like high school, so yeah.
T-shirts. It's that
t-shirt time. It's
T-shirt time.
time.
I should say right now I have been working on my website, which I can't even take real credit for it because it has been my wife that has been working on my website. But I've even started to get some merch up on things. Some of it is just for my own amusement, and then some of it is actually I even put this stuff on. Let me see. I'm gonna
Go, wifey, go, wifey, go. Go,
I
wifey, go,
know.
wifey, go, go, go.
Here, I'll go into hoodies right now and scroll down. And then go over here and share screen and
The
window
Blood Brothers
and
in One Eye Club.
I know, but and they even have all different colors. Can you? Oh wait, let me turn this on. Chink. But
Oh,
I did
bitchin'.
the hand symbol, but does that mean I'm part of the club? No.
I know. Let me see if I can go to this page now and F with it. Yeah, but there's all different stuff there, and like zip ups
Dope.
and even the Secret Society of Good Guys. You can get it on a hoodie or a cup or whatever. It's going to be on things. And then some of them are really stupid. Like there's Red Pill AF. And I don't know how to maneuver while I'm also in the screen. But yeah, go look at it. projectchaney.com.
Love it. Check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm allowed to buy stuff from my own store. But I want to get this logo. I also have the gummy bears up there, so it's like earmuff your gummy bears or fuck Mary Kill with the gummy bears, where they're like hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I might get that, but I think I want the Secret Society of Good Guys. It looks good on a hoodie.
It does.
I like it.
A nice black hoodie.
I know, or a maroon, a blood red one.
Yeah. that
Ox
too.
blood. That was my first color of Doc Martens I ever had. Ox blood. I don't know why I still don't have those shoes. I always think that when I
That's
see a
what mine
girl.
were.
Yours were too?
I had a fucking bird eat them.
Really?
I had
That wouldn't have been my guess.
yeah. We had this fucking cockatiel, and it hated me. It fucking hated me, and I don't know why it went after my shoes, but it tore apart the leather from the sole all around the, like, we made it unusable. Like, fucking stupid bird couldn't fix it.
Expensive tastes.
Fucking messed up my shoes.
Did you guys look up? Did anyone look up anything on Harad? I saw somebody wrote about it in chat.
And we didn't bring up the that Brian Johnson weirdo freak. You know about this guy? This is the guy who has his he takes his. He's one of the. I think he's one of the crypto millionaires. But anyway, no. Anyway, he's a tech millionaire. Anyway, he has a kid so that when he got his I don't know, his teens or whatever now, he is taking his kid's blood to put back into him to keep him from aging. He
This was
actually
pretty big
farmed
for a
out his
while.
own.
Like
Yeah,
this dude took it
this
to
was
the
a big
next
thing.
level because he used his own like offspring.
Mhm.
But like I think in Silicon Valley for the longest time
too,
they were
so-
doing that. There was like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the Mike Judge show, Silicon Valley, but there's a season where that's a running gag where this guy that's kind of like a Bill Gates or something, he's got this like 18-year-old sprint star that's always connected to him with an IV wherever he goes. So he's in like an important board meeting or something, and there's this like twink with a IV connected to him, and it's like, yeah, it's to keep me young.
Yeah.
That is what if you could get, it's the Lance Armstrong thing when people think this is such a wild idea. He actually had his own blood where it was oxygenated even a few weeks younger than the Tour de France to just put in his own blood into himself.
Mhm.
Like, so it's just, if you were the queen and could have your own blood from when you were 15 and put your 15-year-old blood into yourself, that would be dreamy. But if you're not the healthiest thing in the world, then I think you would want something younger than you, obviously. Then I wonder, of course, you'd want like a male, or I'm thinking like you'd want male blood over female blood, just the muscle of it. Like it seems like a super athlete. And then I would want the melanin. I'd want really dark and probably virgin because I would want it untapped. So I'd want like a Haitian boy if that's possible.
What if
Doesn't that
that?
seem like, or a young African boy? I almost think like a lot of what we think of in our head, because it's easier for us to think somebody picking cotton in a field, but a lot of it wasn't about that. It's darker arts than we think. And that is
Yes.
what I think. I think the slavery thing is even a big, like, that is more comfortable for a human to think about than like what else they could have been traded for.
Cannibalism was another thing that happened. It wasn't necessarily prevalent enough to warrant like a whole chapter in school, but there were some that it, for the exact reason you're explaining too. Yeah, they would see it as a way of like inheriting the power and like the strength.
It's the Wendigo thing.
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
So
You
what
inherit.
about the idea of, you say young blood, but what if the idea of like these animals that exist that can live for 120 years, like the tortoise or whatever, XYZ? What about the properties of that blood that can keep the tortoise alive for so long? Or the idea of, I don't know,
Tiger's blood or shark's blood.
yeah, or snake's blood, like how it can rejuvenate and shed its skin and have brand new skin. What about the high magic in that they don't want us knowing? That could possibly be a possibility, because animals, that's how they eat with intuition. So why would a coyote go and eat the snake? What's so great about the snake in the snake that's so good about the coyote that it's craving it? Not only do they want food, but they can hunt whatever they want. But why the snake? The animal's instinct is more on point and they're more aware with it than we are. So it's a good question to ask. Like, okay, yeah, human blood, great. But what about these different types of species and that they test on and inject into us and XYZ? So
What blood do you think the closest is to human?
Pig.
Yeah.
that's the first thought.
Yeah, isn't that
Because
so crazy
that's
that
what
you
they
don't eat pork?
implant.
Long pork.
Yeah.
No pork. Don't eat
On
the
my
pork.
fork.
And
Don't
human
they call it long pork?
supposedly tastes like bacon.
Yeah, they call it
I've
long
heard.
pork. Maybe
Yeah, they
I'm making
do.
that up.
Long pork.
Yeah.
Ooh, make it.
That's what the new Sabrina show is so dark. Like one of the first things that they talked about was long pork, and I was like, I forgot that was a cannibalism thing. I had to go look it up, and I was like,
That's
yeah,
human
I
meat?
did. Long pork.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now I gotta rewatch movies and see if they say, "Oh, I would like some long pork," and we're just like, "Oh, they want pork."
I would have really thought that meant penis.
Pig penis.
I wouldn't even have known. I would have thought it was an innuendo.
Long
Like,
pork.
I'm sure I'm craving some long pork, and then the whole rest of the movie, I would have been like, "Oh, I thought he
She
was
wants to
gay."
be.
Oh, that's
Like, I didn't know. I thought he was gay. Like,
I love it.
I'm like, "Oh, he was a vampire." Did you guys ever watch True Blood?
Clips of
Yeah.
it here
No.
and there.
Ah,
I read all the books. I got
No.
like into the first
I know.
season.
I
or
wanna
two
watch
of
it
the
again.
show.
this is the show I think everyone should watch. This is it. Like, does such a good job of mixing so many different lores, and I even think the history that it uses in the Deep South, mixed in the American history, mixed with
it.
crazy because the vampires have flashbacks, and they're so many thousands of years old that their flashback, even though they live in like Bon Ton, Louisiana now, they could have lived in like Spain, at a whole different time. So it's and their relationships with each other, because the older you are, the more powerful of a vampire you are. So it really doesn't matter your sex or how big or your muscles, it's your age. So they respect each other on like, oh, this vampire, she's really hella old, but she might just look like she's 17, but she's the oldest vampire. So I like that part of the lore as well.
You know, it's
So
weird,
good.
and I just connected it, and I've read all the those books and the True Blood books and the Anne Rice books. They're all Louisiana, and then they both are pretty like because Anne Rice does the whole New Orleans thing, but hers is all based on like the Trail of the Vampire tour. Have you heard about that in Louisiana?
No.
So, in the interview with the vampire, the character of Claudia, the little girl, like, and she's sitting there, like, she drains all these human women of their blood, and like, she keeps them, their corpses, in her room. It was like a real thing that happened in Louisiana
Wow.
in this
It was
flat.
That's
You
a
know-
story of Fort Pierce, Key West as well. There's a dude down in Keys, and he was in love with this woman, and I don't remember if she was ever with him or not. I don't remember if they were ever together while she was alive. But when she dies, he like embalms her and makes her like a human doll. And they, after like for years and years, decades, people like see him walking around with this like, you could probably look it up, see him walking around with this like human, and after he dies and they find this like corpse, because that's what it is, he had like orifices in it where he was having sex with it, and like, I mean, everything Ted Bundy about it. But that's where, back to the cold thing of being able to sleep with a vampire. They show you on True Blood, like, oh, the vampires are such great lovers. Well, they'd have to be because they're so cold.
Recently, I don't know if you guys
I'm
heard.
freezing.
Cold, clammy.
Get the
God
blanket.
damn it. What a heater on.
They recently just raided this morgue where they take bodies and they plant them in trees. I forgot what that company's name is, but they recently raided that place and they're under investigation, the
Oh, no
FBI,
shit.
and they discovered about over I don't know how many bodies in a 2,000 square foot radius just in there. And there's a huge, they said the things that went on in that place and whatever they're finding out is gonna like blow people's mind what they discovered there. But yeah, there's some fishy shit going on in that company where they said they could bury you in a tree and you plant and grow in the tree. You
I've
know?
seen the advertisements for that.
Mhm.
And I'm like the person who, I grew up in the desert, so like Gordy could probably totally relate to this, but I always just want to be dragged out into the desert. I'm like, I do not want to be buried. I don't want to be embalmed. None of
In
that
the
shit.
article.
Maybe it's my Florida, but I'm like, give me a Viking funeral. Like,
Yeah, I
put
think
me in
that'd
a
be
little
badass.
boat out there. Somebody shoot an arrow at it,
Yep.
light it on fire.
I'll get eaten
I'm
by
with
the
you.
buzzards out there. That'd be cool.
That I would love to be buzzards and coyotes. I'm cool with that.
Buzzards in the desert always reminds me of Tales from the Crypt. It's my favorite Tales from the Crypt episode with
I like
Kyle
that one.
MacLachlan walking through the desert and the like buzzards following him. Him and a cop are handcuffed together,
Yeah.
and then the cop dies, and then he has to drag the handcuffed cop through the desert, and the buzzards just
Yes.
watching him. I love it. I love it. It might be my
Oh,
second
that's
favorite
fun.
episode after the cat. The guy eats the cat pineal gland with 9
Dude.
lives.
We need to do a movie night. That'd be so fun.
I think Tales from the Crypt
Tales
is
from the
like
Crypt series, man. That'd be fun.
Can you guys see it?
yes.
115 improperly stored human remains found in Colorado funeral homes, sheriff says. Yeah, this is it. And green burials, improperly stored, a lot of weird things happening there. It's not clear, but if you guys want to research it, it's very interesting.
Could it just be
2,500
cheapskates?
I don't know. They're supposed to bury these bodies, but they found 115 of them in a 2,500 square foot radius. That's small. That's not big. That's small.
It's like
That's a lot of bodies.
Ted Bundy's house.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
not
a
Ted
lot of
Bundy.
bodies.
John Wayne Gacy. Wrong series.
That's a lot of bodies.
A lot of bodies.
So,
A lot
what
of
do the
bodies.
vampires do with the bodies? Is that why you just got to be careful to not drain them all the way?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
that's why I
making
wouldn't
a
want to
vampire?
kill no one. It's too much work.
I know, man.
You'd have to make it a sexual thing. Maybe that's
Oh.
why all this deviancy we
kink.
have now. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it'll become kinks eventually.
Maybe that's also just a way to raise the amount of
Already is.
adrenaline in the body without having to like chase somebody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, get the heart and blood flowing fast, and maybe it's the good kind of adrenaline.
Get a little bit of dopamine and serotonin in there on top of it, right? Not just adrenaline.
Very aromatic.
What would turn a human into a vampire? What could be the key to turn a human?
Drinking the blood of a vampire.
Yeah, but like what?
They have to
what-
bite you, then they have to cut themselves, and you have to drink them, and then you die, and they sleep with you in the grave, and then you're reborn.
What's in the blood that
Sleep with
will
you?
transfer that would transfer? What the fuck am I saying? Transform. The blood.
Transfurer. I thought you were like Nazi. Fuhrer.
This is the transfer. This is the sassy
Oh my god. Yeah, something in the blood.
Valentine.
Like, what is in the blood of the
Anna
vampire?
Isis story. She weaves in the story of Osiris and Isis and them, being the first vampires, really. So, like, actually, Isis being the first vampire, and then weaving back together the body parts of Osiris and giving him the blood.
Yeah.
But it was a spirit. It was a disembodied spirit, like an inorganic being that liked the taste of blood, and it went into the blood. So it was really just a spirit in the blood.
Is it
I like that
okay?
idea.
So they call it venom sometimes. Like, oh, it's the venom, but don't let the venom get into that person's blood or they'll change. You know that.
Because I think
Yeah.
that's the classic Dracula story, that if you're bitten, you turn into a vampire, right? Like venom.
And
So
why
in
was
today's
it?
world,
why
would
is
it
it-
be spirit or
What,
if
Gordy?
in
Sorry, I
today's
had too much.
yeah.
Go on, Layla.
today's world,
Sorry, I got.
it's okay. I don't know if it, think about it. Would we or would we say it's a virus?
Layla, are you cutting
vampires were
out for
to
me or
exist.
everyone?
Oh, it's cutting out for me too. Okay, now I can't remember
Can you-
what I was gonna say. Now I'm.
Can you-
Okay,
I'm
Layla,
so
go.
sorry. I was what? Oh yeah. So today's world to exist. virus that they can create glitching?
Yeah, you're
You're
glitching.
Yeah.
You're glitching.
It's not good.
Uh-oh. I can't remember what I was going to say.
Gordy can't remember either. I don't remember what it was.
Mm.
I was still laughing about that. Fiore! Nine! It was even funnier with the teeth for some reason. Like a German vampire's extra scary.
What's going
Oh,
on?
you gotta.
I'm still making the noise. Am I still glitching?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still glitchy.
Still glitchy.
Still glitchy.
Glitching, darlings.
I also looked up the Red Cross and the Red Crescent Society
Find a
of
character.
like blood banks, and
Yeah.
it's always crazy. There'll be like one natural disaster in the world, and they'll like even 9/11. There'll be 9/11, and then all over the world there'll be like a blood drive push. Even if all 3,000 people in 9/11 were saved and they all needed blood, why would they need people in all over the world to give blood? It's so wild. Layla, you want to try again?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Nope.
now? What?
What about if you talk farther from the mic? Maybe your gain's
Now?
too high and you're cutting off.
No.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Can you hear me?
That's not.
I can hear you
Here.
somewhat. It's like in
Hey.
and out.
I think it's latency.
I don't know what to say. Should I leave and come back?
Maybe try it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, bye. Okay, bye what?
I actually need to get back to my coffin before the sun starts coming up here too.
Do you have any other juicy blood tidbits to drop to us before?
I mean, just the thrill oxide bit, which I feel like is very important. It seems like it's an overlooked aspect of just regular physiology, but I've really am a huge subscriber into Dr. Abram Hoffer's research, where he says that people that have high amounts of thrill oxide in their blood, it's because they have the genetics in order to quickly process adrenaline in and like break it down into the body. And if you don't have the ability to process adrenaline quickly and it gets to your heart, it basically can cause a heart attack. So there's like a evolutionary reason that some people get crazy, and it's because they're quickly processing adrenaline, and the byproduct of that, thrill oxide and a few other ones, those ones actually make you act a little bit irrational. They have like psychedelic properties to them, but they dissipate quickly. But there's this line of research that says that people that tend to be schizophrenic and tend to go into these like altered states, have dementia. If your family has a long line of dementia, there's a good chance that really that's just a side effect of you being able to process adrenaline quicker. So if you did come into a situation where you've just got an immediate spike in adrenaline because whatever, like a bear's chasing you, or work is really sucking, or just like some very high stress sort of event that would give some people a heart attack, it could either make you break and basically become schizophrenic, or you just kind of like pass it, and it's like a muscle. Like every time you bring yourself all the way to that brink and you can come back without becoming completely schizophrenic from it, it's almost like you're training your body to be able to process huge doses of adrenaline and then quickly let it deteriorate in your body naturally. And I think that that's where a lot of this like blood ritual stuff modern times comes from, like spirit cooking and like all of that. I think that there might be an actual non like woo-woo version. It might be like a secular version of, I can improve my genetic well-being and pass it on to my kids if I can keep bringing myself to the brink of craziness and then pull myself back. So I think that might be like I guess pseudoscientific, but like a very pragmatic look at blood magic today versus, oh, our stupid ancestors thought, blood had magical powers. There might be something way more to it that has practical reasons.
Yeah. Didn't you, Chaney, go on a podcast? I think it was Juan. I don't remember, but you guys went down the schizophrenic adrenochrome.
Me and Thomas.
Oh, you and Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone wants
That was my
to check it out, it's on this channel, and it actually is called Thrill Oxide, but the other name, and it never got changed, and I haven't gotten it effed with. So, yeah, you can find it by putting in Chrome Adrena, but backward. I know.
It's
I
great.
never.
You can't even say the word, but yeah, it's so weird.
That
I
episode was brilliant. Brilliant.
I learned so much from that episode. I tell so many people about it because
Yeah.
so many people tell me, they are like, oh, that's not real. That's all just a fake rabbit hole.
You know what drives me crazy is like sometimes I'll be on a podcast or just reading through, other people's research, and the same people that are convinced that the human body creates DMT, which there's no proof of, that it literally synthesizes DMT by itself. But then they will discount adrenochrome being a real thing and just, it's just like some weird side effect. No, it really does have psychedelic properties. There's been studies where people that were resistant to LSD, you give them a little bit of thrill oxide and it just like snaps it back in. So there's clearly some kind of like precursor or catalyst that like is within this substance. They're just not studied enough, I don't think.
I was gonna in the idea of schizophrenics, but then alters how if I could split you up like the movie Split, or how I always go back to Anna Nicole Smith of how I am a little baby sometimes when you see me, or Britney Spears. Would that younger version of you produce something that was even sweeter? Because then it's like the same thing as the Lychee Dog Festival. It's more innocent. It's the coddled version of you. It's not the
Kobe
adult
beef.
that's been injured.
Yeah.
There's no trauma that exists in that one yet. So when the trauma happens, it's like sweeter the juice.
Maybe, although I mean, if this is the less credible route here, but I'm a huge fan of the writings of Fritz Springmeier, and he talks about some of like the Project Monarch kind of rumored things, and one of the threads that he comes up with that I think is interesting is that if you can pinpoint these bloodlines that have the resistance to heart attacks and that can process adrenaline quickly into this thrill oxide, that you actually want to keep fostering that over time, and that those type of people are the quickest to be able to disassociate easily, because the same way that their body can handle this high spike of like a psychedelic substance essentially also allows them to jump into these different alters. So there might even be something to the whole like Hollywood and musicians and like them being sort of courted by all of these high profile politicians and people with money. It might not just be because they see, another way to make more money or skill. There might be something like, oh, I want some of that, what's in their DNA or what's in their blood, because it would actually have realistic benefits to their offspring later down the line, like quantifiable.
It's so crazy that some people could actually know the beaker of the human body so they could know what they were looking for in a womb. Like be like,
well, designer babies are only not here because of like morality sort of stipulations, right? But if everyone was cool with it, we'd have designer babies 20 years ago, no problem.
For real.
Yeah, do you think there already are designer babies? I always think whatever they tell us about now, it's already happening.
Absolutely.
How much money you got? That's the yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's why they pick kids that have childhood trauma too, because they have that skill already kind of built in to disassociate, so they're like primed for that shit.
And Springmeyer's says this isn't on like the tail end of it, but that they actually initiate they want to have control over it, like almost Hegelian dialectic, where you want to be the one that sparks that first trauma, so you've got control over it. So they'll use an amniocentesis needle to kind of like prod like the fetus and poke it, just so that they can be the first ones and know at exactly what date and time that they want to initiate that first traumatic programming.
Yeah.
And
when you
again,
were talking about that,
Hello
was like-
Fresh, you can put in Thrill Oxide 15, get or man, what is it, Manscaped?
I know, legit. Vegan. If you want to go vegan, did you have any bloody movies when you were a kid, like a first bloody scene or something that you remember traumatizing you or scaring you, or
The Exorcist.
the music.
The vomit. The head
I'm
spinning.
gonna go crawl back into my coffin, y'all. Thank you so much.
All right,
I'll be here for
Thomas.
the next
Hey.
one.
Thomas,
Have you
thank
been
you.
doing anything this week?
It's fun.
Do you have
We got-
anything going on this week, or anything people
I
can
am
check out?
converting my living room into a shipping station to start shipping out all the comics and stickers. And
Nice.
I showed you some of the Hunter Biden party packs that I've been working on. So I hopefully the next time we get together, I'll have some prototypes to show off. I think you guys will
Very
like
cool.
them.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take some advice that I got and not actually sell crack pipes in them yet. We'll see.
That
Yes.
actually made me laugh. Like the whole
That's so
exchange
funny.
was so funny, and then even the fact that you put it on the back.
Yeah,
it was
the disclaimer is now on the back. So.
it was so perfect. I'm not. If you were asking me, which you're not, it's so good. So yeah, I can't wait for you to show it off. And everyone, if you don't already, find Paranoid American on YouTube and paranoidamerican.com, and you can get all that stuff.
Cool beans.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
hanging
out,
Thomas. You're so
Thomas.
freaking awesome, man.
I know he knows
I'll
all
see
the
you guys
good
for the next
stuff.
one.
I knew
All
he
right.
wouldn't have to
Thanks for hanging
bone
out,
up too
buddy.
much on blood.
Love it.
Have a good night.
Did you all have
Thanks, guys. Sleep well.
did you all have any traumatic, scary, bloody movies that you saw when you were younger?
Carrie? I wasn't ever
Like I thought
traumatic.
Carrie, I thought
Like,
like
you
The Shining, but the blood was never the thing in it. Like when Layla said The Exorcist, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, like there was
the bloody scene when she's masturbating with the crucifix. That was pretty traumatizing, but it wasn't the blood. Really, it was, yeah.
yeah.
Do you know what
And
she's
that
saying?
is all
Your
based on a
fucking
true
daughter.
story.
That's what she's saying. I think when
Like,
she's masturbating.
That's my God.
Is that what you said?
Whoa. Whoa, little
Ooh.
girl. That's a priest.
Yeah. That's
But then a
crazy.
weird thing in life, she dates Rick James.
I know.
That's like a weird.
Oh, right. That is such a weird thing. Didn't you date John Belushi?
I don't know, but maybe. I was thinking of real life trauma blood scenes, and Nicole Brown Simpson's murder sticks in my brain. Like they showed us that, like almost like before 9/11 happened, like it was on every TV channel everywhere. It was so gory and bloody and thick, and I was so young just to have it like every channel, every TV, every night, everybody watched it.
Did you guys remember the beheadings back in the day where you were allowed to watch whatever it was on the computer? This is probably like 95.
Like Faces
around
of Death
year
and shit.
95.
Faces of Death,
like
yeah.
literal like beheadings of that traumatized me as a kid.
Did you guys Bloody Mary?
Bloody what?
Bloody Mary?
Bloody Mary?
Yeah, Bloody Mary
No, never did
kept
it.
me from sleeping in first grade for a while.
No, but I did light as a feather, stiff as a board.
But Bloody Mary is specifically like where you stand in the mirror and then you chant her name a few times and she shows herself to you in the mirror. And there's like a few sayings on where it came from. some people think it's Mary Queen of Scots, like Queen Elizabeth had her killed, and when her head was cut off, I can't remember if it was Mary the First or Mary the Second that had this really horrible beheading. And so when they go to behead her, first the guy hits her on the back of the head with the axe on accident, and then he goes and hits her on the neck, and it doesn't slice all the way through, and her blood is just spurting out all over the stage, and it's all messy, and then he has to go get a saw and finish it off.
Holy shit.
So she doesn't even get like a death, like she gets the messiest death. So they say like that is what you see is like that Bloody Mary in the thing, because she was the Catholic or the Catholic queen, and then Protestant Elizabeth was like off with her head. But then there's Mary the First too, that she has that she could be the Bloody Mary involved in that Bloody Mary. But I didn't know this whole tale. I've done the Bloody Mary thing as a kid, but I didn't, and I always thought it was about Mary Queen of Scots, but I never questioned why.
You know, and a lot of kids do it, and they don't even know who this Mary person is. They're like, "Ooh, let's do Bloody Mary. Let's do it. Let's do it." And
they're doing it. That whole movie, remember Candyman? And it was like along the same idea of Bloody Mary.
Mm-hmm.
But you said Candyman in the mirror 3 times?
Yep.
And I just said it twice, and I'm sitting in front of a mirror, so maybe I should be careful, huh?
I know, we're just pouting off these things. Yeah. I also the Wilson volleyball face with the bloody hand.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, what do you think the coincidence of the Native American missing woman signal? You know what that is? They have the red hand across their faces.
Oh yeah.
It's like the symbol of it. It's kind of looks like the Wilson thing, kind of. You know, it's a bloody hand.
Mm-hmm.
They say the bloody hand is the frazzle drip face. I'm like, well, let's get me in trouble now, because I usually just say whatever I want, but I'm like, oh, I'm like, but I guess
it is the frazzle drip.
Yeah, if they cut it and peel the face up, it pulls all, like when it rips up from the scalp, it peels up like this way that looks like Lady God's dressed like it, or the hand on the Wilson volleyball, but it's all the same representation. So I don't know. It's dark.
That is dark.
Dark. Do you guys, what else did you guys look up about blood?
I looked up the whole Aztec thing.
What?
The Aztec rituals where they blood sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty interesting. They actually built two towers, like 2 pyramids, and they would like 10,000 people in 4 days. They sacrificed 10,000 people in 4 days. Yeah. One was to the sun god and one was to the rain god.
Oh, did Brittany just post now? Gordy, your mic tonight makes me want to shoot my eyes out.
I'm sorry.
Very whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Oh my gosh.
It's very loud.
I'm so sorry.
Shoot my own eyes out. It makes me want to, it's okay. I just been trying to mute it sometimes, but I want to also hear you. So just for future reference, sitting in the wind tunnel might not be the best for podcasting. For my sweet honey drip ears, but I also want to hear you. So I want to hear you speak, and I want to hear Dinky. Okay, so Abby, like 10,000 a day.
10,000 in 4 days. So they do it over a period of 4 days, and they would, ask for tributes and stuff. But then they started capturing people from neighboring tribes, and they would literally, just, you guys have seen the movie, what's it called? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Apocalypto.
Yeah.
I love
But
that movie.
yeah, they literally would do it. Like they did blood sacrifice before that, but then they ended up they built these 2 towers, and so then it was like a much larger scale. So over a period of 4 days, they would do 10,000 people. They would take them up to the top. They'd behead them. They would actually like pull their hearts out and stuff while their hearts were beating, and then let the blood run down the stairs. So I don't know. It's pretty crazy.
They thought that, yeah.
Why were they doing it?
To appease the gods, because the gods like blood.
But like for weather or crops or nothing, they just were like, meh, for the whole kit and caboodle. Like this just made the gods happy.
It made the gods happy for one, but I think it was also kind of political. It was a show of power, pretty much. But they believed that the gods had given their blood to create human beings, and they believed that in order to maintain the empire, they were obligated to return the blood to the gods. So they sacrificed warriors captured in battle and other men, women, and even children to satisfy what they believed was the gods' voracious blood appetite.
I wonder why they painted them blue doing that during the sacrifice. They would paint them blue, and then they would be sacrificed.
Because of the god thing, maybe?
I know, but look at how many other cultures, like what if, because there's the whole like eagle versus serpent myth, mythology. What if the blue blood, the blue gods weren't the serpent gods? Because in the Mexican, like around, they all believed in serpent worship. And if you look at the Mexican flag now, it has the eagle holding the serpent. And so if the eagle was represented by that blue, that sky, and the serpent was the other, maybe they were like, we're going to paint these things blue to represent of the other god that we're killing.
Well, we talked about that too, because the Aztecs were actually called the Mexica. And so that whole thing, like that whole story with the eagle and the snake, is part of the Aztec lore too.
It's crazy.
So,
yeah, that's so wild. But it seems like all throughout history, like blood sacrifices through children are even more important, but they do it, I mean, everywhere. Like every continent, you can find some kind of examples of it. I don't know why most of the stuff went dark, but maybe it's just that it's blood, and so many things in the Bible, or even with natural law, they're like, this isn't what you do. It doesn't matter. It's like most of the religious books that you look in, they're like, don't do this.
Even in mythology, blood sacrifice for dragons. In Albanian mythology, we had Queasiness, the dragon. She was a water dragon, and she was the dragon that offered water to the villages and, gave water to the villages and replenished the land. But in order for her to do that, they sacrificed children. So blood exchange, pretty much. That was the whole story of Queasiness and the dragons. And they had different dragons, ones that gave water, one's fire, one's this, one's that, different types. And that's the story that I know.
In some of the blood magic that kept coming up, the Red Witch from Game of Thrones kept coming up with blood magic, and it's the darkest, most powerful kind of sorcery, and only a death may pay for a life. And so one of the biggest spells in that show is when there's this dark witch and Khal Drogo's really, really, really sick. So they use a red stallion, and it's Khal Drogo's red stallion, and they're people they're all like stallion worshipers almost, so they kill this red stallion so that Khal Drogo can live. And I just thought it was so crazy that only a death may pay for a life instead of a life paying for a death, like the opposite, that mob way we always think, like an eye for an eye, but instead it was like taking this life brought back somebody that was on the verge of death. So I was wondering, like, how often do they do that if they're on the verge of death for things or karmically?
Yeah, so you sacrifice them. That makes sense.
Blood splatter experts, I thought were interesting.
Blood splatter in experts?
Yeah. So they can tell if somebody dies, if there's blood splatter, they can tell if it's from a bullet, if it's from a strike, if it's from spit, if it came from this direction or that direction, if the person fell and it bounced up. If it's like, if you start looking into how detailed they know because of how precise blood comes out of the human body. Like a cut makes a spray compared to a bludgeon with drips. It's so crazy. I started to look into the details of it, and it's like a crime scene just shows itself. Well, it's like the same as
Really?
people that know, like Uncanny Valley. You look at these people are not real. Every day you just put them in your face, and then you know when something isn't real all the time online. That's what it's like. You look at so much blood splatter and so much directional things, and they've even taken when they believe something to be true, they'll be like, okay, well, we have to test out our theory. What would make it do this? So like, oh, if you hit something with a bat, it's totally different than if you hit it with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, whoa, like how they could just walk into any room and see enough of them and be like, kind of like put it together. Like the person died there. They struggled and walked over there. They did like they know everything just by blood splatter and blood
splatters.
drops.
Holy shit. It's like an art. Its own art.
Yeah.
So-
and we
Yeah.
leak it. Like,
Remember that
you were
that,
oh, there you are.
Much better.
Am I okay now?
Yeah, you have a little
Yeah.
delay, but I won't pay attention to your
There-
camera because it looks beautiful and I hear you beautiful. So
Okay. You murder. It was a famous murder. It was some. This guy was. Anyway, his wife in their house, and her head was.
I don't think it's
smashed.
working.
No.
I don't.
it
It's
this?
like cutting. It's like you sound clean and you look clean, but it was just cutting out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Layla's was earlier.
Yeah.
Was, yeah.
So weird. Do you have to do anything or just come back in?
I just came back in.
Oh, maybe Gordy just has to come back in. Gordy, try dropping all the way out and then coming back in because everything might be working good, but now it just might have to read everything.
Yeah, like
exit out of here
or
and
whatever.
come back in.
I'm so
Perfect.
stoned,
right.
as you can
I know,
tell.
me too.
I'm
like,
trying to keep my eyes open. I'm just like,
I had to take my teeth out because I was like, I'm gonna choke on one of these if I try to smoke this
kept
joint
chewing,
with
and
these
now
teeth.
my teeth hurt.
I do.
Like they're sore, like braces sore.
That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the today I put on mascara for the first time in like a year, over a year. But the brush that the mascara came off of, I was like, I like this. Like, I think I could wear mascara.
Yeah, mascara's great. It just gives you a nice like a eye lifting effect.
I know, and it even curled usually my eyelashes are like just grandpa's eyebrows. They're just all over the place. They're not
You're
they're
good
like
now.
This is my eyelashes usually. But then when I put on the mascara, they were like, "Yes, queen."
Much, much better, Gordy.
Gordy.
I don't remember what we were talking about.
This is the first time we've had you all night.
I know.
We're talking
I can't.
blood.
I can't talk with those things.
Yeah.
I know everyone is like,
blood.
there's weird sound tonight. I'm like, it's probably all of us talking through our lisps. It's hard to be a vampire when you have a lateral lisp.
Right.
Can I get a slice of the ice? I want to suck your slice of the ice.
It's hard to think when you're being in character too.
I know Anne keeps seeing yourself on screen and
seeing
then
myself all weird on screen, it's weird. I don't.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's like already funny. Like
it's weird.
like you say something funny and then it was funny. But then you said it as a vampire and it was extra funny.
The golden was it? Now I can't think of it.
Yeah, a golden shit or something. It got me.
The golden shit club.
Welcome to the secret society of good guys or the golden shit club. You learn that on your that's what you learn on like the third initiation. We
I think I'm
teach you
gonna
about
flip that part.
Right. I
So all
remember
these
what it
veins
was.
of-
Famous murder. Okay, sorry. This dude, it was the blood splatter thing that reminded me. This dude got set up for murder, went away for a while. He was exonerated, but there was a theory that an owl actually attacked the woman and she fell and smacked her head and her head smashed all over the. And there actually was some merit to it
Was that
because there was
staircase?
yeah, Staircase. Yeah. There was a whole Netflix series or something on that guy. Anyway,
An
blood
owl.
splatter. An owl. Go get him.
That would just suck though if you were like, no, I really didn't
Tired.
kill my wife, and everyone thinks you pushed her down the stairs, but a random white owl
freak
flew.
accident happens. Yeah.
Like literally freak. I asked if you guys had stitches. Let me look at my list. Let me
Oh,
look at my
yeah.
list and see
Yeah.
what I have.
I had 7 of them right here. Right there.
There
Up in
is
here.
there is violet blood, green blood, blue blood, red blood, and yellow blood. Isn't that wild?
In like entire species or in
Yeah,
human
all
blood?
different species all over the world. All color bloods. I didn't find black blood. I was going to write down the animals that were associated with what kind of blood.
Just Black Blood and The 100. I don't know if you guys watched that show.
Yes.
It's pretty good.
One hitter.
I wonder what that means. Is it like, are you living on a different realm of frequency or a realm of vision, or can you see things differently if you're different blooded? I don't know. Like, that's a really good question. Why so many different colors? The color of the rainbow of blood.
Yeah, it's so
Does it
interesting.
have to do something with the planets?
Or
With
like
we
what you
see
were
and what we
saying,
are?
how certain animals will just eat, like you're like, oh, this random deer will eat this rattlesnake once a year because it replenishes it or whatever. Do certain species know other species that they need to eat for certain things? Almost like, oh, look, all the colors of the rainbow. Like they tell us about fruit. Like, are we supposed to be taking in different types of blood and not just red-blooded things all the time?
I mean, so do we talk insects too? Do we talk rodents? Do we talk? I mean, there's cultures who eat all
I don't get any cravings.
rainbows. They eat rainbows of species in parts of the world.
Yeah.
Did you say you were
So-
getting cravings, Gordy?
No, I don't have any cravings for crickets or rodents.
Crickets.
Although,
rats.
I hear a guinea pig
Bats.
not bad.
Yeah, it's a big part of
I
the
can imagine
cuisine
it's
in
not
Peru.
bad.
China soup.
Guinea
Yeah.
pig? That's
Yeah.
the one you went with out of
China.
all, like, what would be a weird animal
The-
you would eat?
I've eaten a lot of weird
What would be
animals.
a
Like my
weird
dad was a
animal to
redneck.
eat?
That wouldn't be that weird.
Like guinea
Why
pig?
would that be weird?
I don't know. It just seems
It's
easy,
kinda
guinea
normal.
pig, but it wouldn't even be
Yeah, it
something
is.
that
It's
I would
easy.
think of. I'd
No,
be
it's
like,
not
it's
weird.
not even worth it. That's how I
Yeah.
tell people I'm like, if it's too little, I'm like, that's not even worth it. A guinea pig?
That's what they eat in Peru.
I wonder if this is fucked up to even say, Gordy, but I wonder if anyone's tried owl.
Oh yeah, they've tried it.
That's fucked up.
Yeah?
Yeah, they've tried it. Yeah.
It's a wonder they stuck with turkey because it's such a bland meat. Like turkey's so bland. Owl might taste better than turkey.
You think?
There's not a lot of meat on an owl. It's very dense meat. Like their muscles are really, really condensed and like these
tough.
like, super tight tendons. And like they have like this locking mechanisms in their feet. That's why their legs are so long. Like you don't see their legs, but they're really long. And in that, and they look like they're wearing pants, you know, but underneath
so
that
funny.
fuzz is like this crazy like musculature that's like really, really dense. I can't imagine it be very tasty, although who knows. But that is interesting because I've watched them because I've got a lot of owl pellets and you can see what they eat. And sometimes they'll bring in like I've seen them feed a baby roadrunner to the owlets before, or snakes. So,
You know what's a weird animal that people eat? Kangaroo. Who
That
eats
seems like
kangaroo?
I've
kangaroo
probably
seems like they both kangaroo and pig seem like the exact same animal to me. Just it's like pig is a human mixed with something in America, and kangaroo is something mixed with a human in Australia. Like kangaroo is a human and a horse mixed together, and a pig is like a human, and I can't quite figure it out yet. But like kangaroo, that is
Rabbit?
pretty rabbit. I don't know.
Follow the white rabbit. I don't know.
I don't know. Kangaroo. And then all kinds of fish people
Goodness.
eat.
I wonder what a echidna tastes
Aliens.
like.
You're eating aliens. The ocean is space, so you're eating aliens. Squid, like squid. Do you know what squid is? It looks like an alien.
Octopus. All
I don't
those.
like eating the octopus.
What kind of blood do
get-
they have?
Octopus?
Yeah, well, like
I
sea
don't
creatures.
remember.
Is
What
it
color?
black?
A lot of them are
Let's
blue.
see.
Some of them are blue.
What color? Octopus. I'm into typing, so sorry for the delay. Octopus blood. It said ink eye. Those were the first. Blue blood. They're blue blooded. Octopuses have blue blood, 3 hearts, and a donut shaped brain. But these aren't even the most unusual things about them. Known for
They're 9
otherworldly look and remarkable intelligence, octopus continues to reveal astonishing qualities, abilities, and behavior. You know, if you ever see an owl run somewhere and like pick up its dress and run, that is how octopus do. They look like an owl running. They just pick up their dress
They
and then they
do.
have 2 legs and they run. They're wild.
It is funny how they.
Octopus are shapeshifters.
And they'll just be there's like stories and after stories where there's doctors' offices where they have like an octopus in their fish tank, and they might have another fish tank on the other side of the office, and they're like, what's happening to all the fish in the fish tank?
Mhm.
They're going missing. They put a camera in, and the octopus is getting out in the night and walking over to the other fish tank, going up in it, taking fish out, and then going back to his tank or her tank. Maybe octopus are like
That's crazy.
I saw
total
that.
Mercury.
That happened at the Seattle Aquarium too. They're crazy
They can
smart.
escape out of anything. They could fit through the tiniest like little gap. Like it's crazy. They're alien. They're alien.
All
That's
those
the-
brains working together too. They have hearts and brains.
3 brains.
And they have
Brain.
no, they have nine brains. They have a brain in
9?
each. They have
3
a brain
hearts,
in
9
each
brains.
tentacle.
3
have a-
hearts,
they-
9
the
brains.
They have a main donut-shaped brain in their central nervous system, and then each tentacle itself has its own centered like nervous system brain. So there's like 9. It's wild.
That's insane.
You ever seen a barrel eye fish?
A barrel eye fish?
Yeah. I was thinking, Chaney, can we pull up
3 hearts. I'm trying to habitat, diet. I thought it was just going to be like, give me a little list. A barrel eye fish. This better be good, Gordy. If I'm being young Jamie right now. That is weird. Let me find a good picture of it, though. I'm going to pull my whole screen up. Okay.
222.
2 it is 2:22 Eastern. Oh, it's 3:23 Eastern Standard Time.
It's 1, 2, 2, 3 here. And
1, 2, 3.
yeah, you know me.
I napped today.
I did too. First
And I
time.
woke up and I did not know what day it was.
I worked today. And it was nice.
There. Look at how weird that thing is.
What the hell is that? Look at that face.
So
It's like
its whole
If
head
it's saying something, Layla, what do you think that face is? Like, what kind of energy do you get from that face?
I'm getting I don't know how to explain it.
If it sang, what kind of song would it sing, do you think?
Blue moon. Or like some kind of Hawaiian song.
I thought you were going to sing that emo song.
Oh my God. Because tonight won't be the night that I could fall for you. Over again.
Sorry. I don't know how that became a thing.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to find other barrel-eyed fish to look at. Dead on barrel-eyed fish.
Stop.
I don't know.
Right now.
Anyway, I think they're wild. Like they've got their whole.
Look at their face.
They have different sensors, light
Look at it.
sensors.
Grrr.
Cause tonight.
Girl. Chaney, you is so stupid. That's what I feel like that was just saying to me.
Girl, what the hell?
Its mouth looks like an anus.
Cause tonight will be the night. That's what we all look like in these outfits, though.
I know,
Yeah.
stupid.
Especially,
I don't dress like that normally.
I'm considering going black though. Like
I like the black.
I know it's looking great on you, Layla.
I'm total witch vibes right now. Love it. Total
And
witch
bangs.
vibes.
I think more like I miss my bangs so much. It's the number one thing. I'm like, oh, whatever with the hair. Like I love eyebrows, love things, but I'm like, I have so much forehead that I'm like, I can't wait till I have a little bit of bangs. But I think these bangs look good on girls and they don't wear them enough.
I can't do it because I have frizzy hair in Florida. So it won't be bangs, it'll be a bush, like a Brillo pad. Like right there, you know? And that ain't cute. Not with
Maybe
my
just
hair.
a little flat iron.
Trust me.
You're like, I have had this hair my whole life. Maybe you just have wigs
Yeah.
and occasionally rock
Yeah.
wigs.
Yeah.
I think more adults should have a chest of costumes.
Yeah. I'm keeping all these that I'm like putting together. I'm stashing them.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I have all this random shit laying around my house
know.
that tonight would be the night. No, that tonight when I was getting ready, I was like, oh, do I want to wear my blue velvet jacket or my red cloak?
Yeah,
I was like, I like that I have two options.
I almost did a red cloak.
I was like, oh, save your red cloak. And I didn't know what for yet, but I was like, I might need it for later on.
Damn it. Sorry about the wind tonight.
Here,
I'll figure it out.
I want to see what this whole question
That mic
says.
is great.
Has anyone else noticed
The one that you have now.
Gordy's?
Yeah, the one that he has now.
Yeah, he
is
sounds
perfect.
fantastic.
Fantastic.
And his picture looks really clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks like he's in for Gordy coming at you in 4K. Has anyone else noticed all the YouTube channels with an octopus in the background, like on a shelf? I have not.
Wait, repeat that.
Israel asked, has anyone else noticed all the YouTube channels with an octopus in the background, like on a shelf or something?
Wasn't that during Trump's presidency, McKinney, what's her name, when she went on, I guess, an interview or something, and I think I remember seeing an octopus behind with a clock, and it wasn't working, but I'm not sure if it was an octopus or I'm just placing it there.
Well, it's on the timeline now. We're all going to see it.
Octopus on the timeline. Bloody octopus. Bloody octopus. Is there like a movie like Octopus Come to Shore? You know how there's like shark tornadoes? Is there like octopus earthquake or something where like octopus tentacles come up and grab people?
There was.
Yeah, there was. Goonies. In the end, the octopus.
There's octopus and Goonies.
In the Pirates of the Caribbean at the end, the Kraken came up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Kraken. I was like, I guess the Kraken, like all of a sudden octopus became our word. And I'm like, I can't believe we didn't bring up the Kraken all day. Like I was on the timeline where octopus was the word.
No.
Release
like,
the
no,
Kraken.
we're doing blood.
Yeah. Can't believe we didn't talk about Sidney Powell.
I
know.
such a crazy ride.
I had Bloody Valentine. I know I wrote down some random blood sayings. Let me see if Blood Brother. I'm glad Thomas brought that one up. Here's something totally random that I wrote down that I did not know, and I haven't researched it, but I just heard somebody say it, and I was like, how do I not know that? But that Shakespeare wrote the King James Bible.
I heard that before, yeah.
I love it. I'm like, it's on my list of like, the Like a Virgin tour. I was going into Virgin Blood, so then I started to research Madonna, and then I was like, so I was like, nope, out of that. I looked up some serial killers, but then I was like, we'll save that because next week we're going to be doing a show that's more in line with serial killers. I looked into Bloody Mary. I looked into blood types.
Blood diamonds.
Shining blood. Let's see. I was wondering if blood and like I thought the word blonde in blood was weird. Like I don't know why. I was just like, why are these words? But then I was like, I was like, don't go down. Sometimes I'm like, stop. I have to get myself back on track.
Yeah.
Blood vampire. Let's see. And then I have doodles all over the pages from all the talks that we've had that I'm like, where am blood poisoning? I thought was crazy that, all the different blood drinkers, Bloods and Crips, blood types, blood sacrifice, blood rituals. Yeah, I thought flow state, blood on their hands. Somebody's got blood on their hands. Like
blood ties. We talked about blood ties. Ooh, hey.
Everyone has blood on their hands in one way or another. When you think about it.
We should do a mafia.
Not like in a sense of like killing people, but like in instances.
Oh wait.
Because it could be used.
There was another fun one that Philip sent me, and he is going to come play with us some night. There was a prison somewhere, and they were like drawing blood from all their prisoners, and an Arkansas prison, and it was an Arkansas prison blood scandal, and they were selling HIV and hepatitis infected blood to Canada from Arkansas.
Whoa.
What the hell?
Yeah. And I was like,
why?
that is a weird blood thing. Like, probably just the same way. They probably got $1,600 a gallon for it. And they were like, oh, this is awesome. We'll just take it from our prisoners. And it was like, ooh, and then it was all infected and shit.
Like, why do they want it? Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder about all that stuff because of all the crackheads going down and selling their blood.
So what about, okay, because you brought up the melanin thing earlier, and I thought about that. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh.
the Tupac, lyric.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, but it's like, it's true and it berries, but then it's weird because he was actually talking about the flesh when he said that, but that's weird to think about it as the blood. What about blood is thicker than water?
And that's not the whole saying, right? It's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Oh, I didn't
Is
know
the
that.
whole saying. So it would be the blood oath is thicker than your family ties or where you come from.
Wow.
And we never hear it that way.
No. Which makes sense to me.
And I've never
That's
said it
true.
right ever. That's one of those weird sayings that's like, no, that's not the way it is though. And then I never know the other saying. That's the first time I've ever like been able to grasp it. But I shut my eyes.
Just like the jack of all trades saying, because everybody thinks like jack of all trades is master of none, but it's really jack of all trades, master of none, but better off than being master of one.
I always say Jane of all trades, master of some.
Yeah.
Right.
Because some
Good
things,
enough.
yeah, some things I will call myself a master, and I have my 10,000 hours at it, and I know what I'm good at. And then other things I know what I'm not good at, and I know what I'm a quick study in. So
I drink you Bloody Marys.
Bloody Mary, just
No, it's
a virgin Bloody
just bloody.
Mary.
It's just tomato juice, but so good. I haven't had V8 in a long time. I'm like, oh, that sounds good.
I love making virgin Bloody Marys. Like taking V8 and I'll just put Worcestershire and like a couple other
Lime
seasonings
juice?
or spices, put it on ice, a little lime, stick a celery in there. I'll jam out. I'll sit in the lawn chair like I'm a Florida lady.
I never
like a
thought to
V8.
have a virgin one. But I like to just kick back and drink Bloody Marys. I love them, but
Isn't a V8 like a Virgin Mary?
Virgin
That's
Mary.
what that is. Virgin Mary. Oh,
Virgin Mary,
Ish.
weird.
we
it's
just
just not as seasoned.
Bloody
but
Mary,
yeah.
we were
Bloody
just
Mary.
talking about saying Bloody Mary in the mirror.
Oh my God. When
And
I
then
say
Virgin Mary is if it has no alcohol.
It's a Virgin Mary. You know, I asked for a
Bro.
Virgin Mary one time when I was pregnant at a casino, and the lady like looked at me like I was crazy, and I was like, "It's a Virgin Bloody Mary," and she was like, "No alcohol." She brought it with alcohol anyway, and I didn't drink it because I was pregnant. I could taste it.
Yeah.
that might be difficult merch though.
That lady was a
tiki,
douche.
She
Sorry.
was a douche.
like a Virgin Mary tiki mugs. We could do that, right? Like that's
Why
gotta
not?
right.
Yeah.
I love the Virgin Mary symbolism.
Mhm.
I have no
It's got-
ish. Like I get it. Like, you know, ladies don't really want to be messed with during certain times of their period. And I understand it because I'm a lady. But in my boy side of my brain, I'm like, it's not a big deal. Like, you're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine. But then this is a question that I'll say sometimes to my wife. I'll be like, hey, what's up? Whatever. I'll be like, you know, chasing her skirt. And then she'll be like, I'm on my period. And I'm like, are you on or are you on?
Like, is it like day 1 or 2, or is it
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Are you
Are you
synced with your wife?
on? No, I haven't had my period since I started chemo.
Yeah. How about
So
before then? Were you ever
never.
synced with her?
No. We are so opposite. Like, I feel like I'm in my Scorpio. That's why I also think when people are like, all women should bleed at the full moon and then all on the new moon we'd be this and all on the, I don't think it should be that at all. I'm like, I think we would all have our own set thing with
Yeah.
the moon. And I don't think it wouldn't, so like some people have shorter things and longer things, and it would be, whatever it was
Yeah.
supposed to be. I always felt kind of lucky that if I didn't feel at home somewhere, I wouldn't have my period.
Mm.
So if I was like frazzled at work or in between moving or in a new relationship or, like just fucking around, I just wouldn't have my period. So it was like kind of fantastic.
Like you could control it in a sense?
I don't know. I just never ever worried about it the same way other women did. But
Oh.
I also, this is so wild, but I had one of these pendulum things done to me when I was 18 where they hold a pendulum over your hand and it like, I don't remember what now, but let's say if it goes in a circle, you're having a girl, and if it went left and right, you're having a boy. And you put it down in your palm and then you pull it up, then you put it down in your palm and pull it up, and it does these things, and then it'll stop. And so you'll know how many kids you're having too, like 2 girls and a boy or da 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 da, and people. And so when it did it to me when I was 18, it was like, you're not going to have any kids. It was just dead stopped. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got this. I never ever, it was like at 18, I let the universe tell me with a pendulum, like, you're not having any kids. But I was just like, all right. It was like a big release of like,
That's crazy.
I'm not even gonna worry about that thing. So then energetically, I always just think about like, if it all is supposed to be, if everything's kind of supposed to be, then the energies you bring into the world, that's all supposed to happen.
I like that. And you're right.
So even if
Everything.
people, it doesn't matter what I personally feel, but even if people want to get like pro-choice or pro-life, well, is it meant to be or not? So it doesn't matter what the decision is. It's the same way as every other decision you make in your life. Whatever is meant to be, that's what you were going to do. That's what it is. So,
Yeah.
kid or no kid, like, I don't believe
in your
your
lane?
decision has a choice. This is what I definitely don't believe, that you get to take somebody else's fucking chance out of the whole entire world. Like, people are like, well, people murder people all the time. Yeah, but that was their walk and this breath and this 3D. That's not a life yet. That's to me. So I just feel like if I were an aborted kid, I'd be like standing next to God. If we're going to play in the mind, I'd be like, hey, that's not fair. Give me another run at this.
Yeah.
And then God's like, sorry, you picked your parent. Like, that you did that. That's your bad luck of the draw. And you're like, yeah, back to limbo or back to soul waiting land until I get a body or whatever it works like. But I just am like, energetically, whatever, if it's meant to be, whatever's supposed to happen, whether you have your kid or don't have your kid, that's what's supposed to be.
But I think if the kid happens, it's supposed to be, so why take it out?
I don't know. I just think like, if I take myself out of it altogether and I just make myself the kid, I think that you get a shot regardless. Your shit you're supposed to learn. Like, we were all probably been aborted in some of our lifetimes.
Who knows?
And that's probably a like easy lesson to learn that lifetime. Whatever it is. It's like, whoop, that was quick.
Or you
That was
could
a
have
short
just been
life.
driving the bus for somebody else. You could have been like, you, my friend, need to learn what it's like to go through, this whole thing where you aborted a baby and all the emotional shit baggage that comes with it. So I'll go ahead and drive the bus. I'll be your baby.
Yeah, that is a really
It could be
good.
as simple as that.
Yeah, you could
Be the
have
test for the
been
mother.
the aborted baby for somebody else so that they had their other 3 kids afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the 3 lives, they get their full thing. You could have been like, oh, this changes it for that whole entire family cycle. I'm the aborted baby one time in the cycle. But if we also are around these energies that you travel with through lifetimes, then we've all been each other's aborted baby once, and it's okay.
I don't know. I think of life as precious.
Precious.
I feel like if a life it comes, like we shouldn't be the ones to like say no, you don't belong here.
If I got knocked,
You know?
I'm keeping my baby.
Yeah.
If I
I couldn't do
personally,
it.
but I also
Preach.
But I get why other people
Yeah.
do it
Papa
too.
don't preach.
Yeah.
I understand. I've heard it's like the same way as like, I'm never ever fucking getting vaccinated. Everybody has a fucking choice of whether they get wanting to get
Yeah.
vaccinated or not. When I had the lady fucking tell me that her son was dying of cancer in the hospital and she couldn't go see her son dying at the end of his life unless she got vaccinated, I'm like, you just changed my whole heart. Like, you just changed my whole heart. She was telling me about her teenage fucking son. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like, it's usually like all these other options, like all these other things. So, in some of the stories that I've heard of people in life, of their things that they've had to make, of their decisions, of the stuff that I used to judge, I always think it's like, man, I always am grateful when I don't have to make those decisions. It always seems like the easier walk. Whatever happened to me in my life, this life, I am grateful that I never had to make the decision either way. So many things. I'm so grateful that I didn't have a baby, that I'm a young, like 17, 21, 25, whatever, 30. It all feels fucking young to me. And then like holding this baby and doctors are around me and I want the best for this thing. And they're like, you want to stick these needles in it. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a young kid and do I want to put vitamin K right in its eyes? Do I even want to be in this hospital at all? Like, oh, I can't possibly give birth to at home. I'm so scared of that. But that's the thing we should be doing. But look how far away that is from even a reasonable thing. So I'm just
Yep.
all the time, I always think now, I'm so grateful I don't have to make that decision. And I
Yeah.
just be there for the person for whatever. Cause I know so many people too on the other side where they're like, it's not even like abortion's not even a fucking topic in their brain. It's not even an option in their brain. And having a fucking baby makes them want to eat bullets. And they have it. And it's not the only baby they have. But it just is what it is. It's their responsibility and they're going to go through with it and they're going to be a great fucking mom and they're going to love the kid. But it doesn't mean that it is the thing they necessarily wanted.
Mhm.
It's the thing they're doing now.
Yeah.
And so I know so many fucking women like that in the same way. Like we're forever, where girls that I know girls that have had abortions and forever, they think about those abortions, even if they're not a religious person. I know fucking women that they have kids and forever they love their fucking kids, but they're just like,
Gets all
sometimes
over it.
and they can never say like they're
Uh-huh.
like, this little bitch, I want to burn the house down. This bitch brings out the worst in me. They talk about their own, and because they can tell me, because I don't think they're a bad mom. If they talk about like, they're like, I need to vent, and I'm like, let it out.
Let
And
it
they're
out, girl.
like, you don't even know what I have to deal with. They'll tell me about their kid, like just the disrespect and like how hard they're working in life to try to get all these things done. And they're just like, I never got to do any of the things. Like my kid doesn't even know the things I love. Like my kid said to me, and I know them so well, and whatever it is they're great at, and they're like, my kid had the audacity to say, Mom, I didn't even know you did gymnastics, or I didn't even know you for a ballerina, or I didn't even know you sang. And it's like, like,
No, you don't.
no, you don't get to do that thing. So I just think, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just glad I don't have to fucking make certain hard decisions.
I will say, with having 5 kids, like I appreciate every one of my kids, and pretty much 4 out of 5 were planned. Okay, so, and the other one I wasn't sad about because I just had like an ectopic pregnancy, so that one didn't work out. So it actually kind of washed out. But I've told my kids like there's another version of me on another timeline that doesn't have kids. She's pretty happy. I don't care. I tell them because it's like it's true, and because it's usually when they're causing problems and they know it.
I
It's
don't
like,
have
I'm gonna
kids.
freaking kill you.
I don't think I want any. When I was younger, I was like, oh, yay, family condition, program. But now that I see life and I understand it, my heart can't take the heartbreak of having
That's
kids.
what I think. For
It's,
real,
ugh,
it seemed I don't believe
I'm being
I have the
selfish.
capacity to love like a mom loves their child. I think that must be the biggest fucking love that exists on the fucking planet.
It
Yeah.
is because the second that, like, and not even pregnancy doesn't prepare you for it. The second that your first child is born, you understand love at a whole other level.
That's what every mother
That's what I believed in
says.
God. I was like, oh, there is a creator. Like, this is crazy.
There is. It's you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, there's a creator. You pull it out of your.
There's a God. This is freaking wild. Yeah. It's true.
I know, but they say all those chemicals, it's like that protection mixed with you think that is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Like it's mixed with the most amount you've ever wanted to protect something, mixed with the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And I'm like, that's why anytime you like people will talk about a vampire making someone or your spirit guide, and they say things like, your spirit guide loves you more than your mother could love you because it's been with you since your soul's conception. And I cannot even fathom a mother's love to a child. So then when you say that love to me over a mother's love, I can't even fathom.
Mm-hmm.
And all the moms I know that are great moms are the hardest on themselves. The hardest on themselves that are fucking great moms. They're also the ones that say, I mean, for the 2 decades that they would grab me like by my, and they'd say, Janie, don't have kids. Don't have kids. They're all the best moms would be like, save yourself. Save yourself. All the ones that were like, they'd have a margarita this big and they'd be like, it's easy.
It's
Have
a
3
hard
kids. Like,
job.
smoking cigarettes.
Kudos.
Like, get out of here. I'm hanging out with Janie. It's so easy. Janie, when are you
Kudos
going to
to
have kids?
all.
My
Kudos
daughter's
to
all
all
like,
moms.
I don't think I'm going to have kids. And, she loves babies and stuff, but she's like, I don't think I want to have my own. And I'm not the mom who's going to be like, oh, you guys all need to have kids. I need grandbabies. I'm like, hell no. If you don't have kids, that's totally awesome. I'm glad that you know that about yourself.
I don't know. It's just that being a mom is, even a dad, being a mom and a dad, being a parent.
Being a parent is
Bro.
so much. Like being a dad is a whole different stress. I will tell you, just because I haven't ever gotten to live in the mom. And I don't know the dad for the child, but I do in the idea that I have taken on the roles that I have played just in my house of wanting to provide everything just for my wife. I can't fathom also having a child, that stress on top of just my wife, and how much it hurt me when I couldn't provide what needed to go on in my house. I can't even fucking tell you how much it hurt to, like, even if she wanted something fancy, even if she wanted something like that we needed, to frivolous. I can't imagine then adding kids to it and then having the stress of not being able to provide like fucking piano lessons. And then like, we have all these other things and like, oh, I also have the lights. Oh, I also have the cable. Oh, this bitch also needs a new baseball glove. Like, or whatever. Like all these kind of that seem so frivolous. I just know now, food, shelter, those kind of things. Yes. And then I think moms and dads both, like, I know how bad I feel if I just snap at a human being or even I yell at my dog. Like if I'm like, come on, let's go out. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, you didn't deserve that. You're like 1,000 years old and whatever. I can't imagine kids. Like I would just guilt, like the stuff that I can't even imagine. I'd be like, but this is what else I'll say to parents.
Yeah.
Same with me. And like thinking about like, okay, I see how I am and react with my parents. I'm like, oh my god, my kids will act like this, or probably even worse with me. Holy shit! Am I gonna? I can't handle disrespect. My kids disrespect me. What the fuck am I gonna be? Am I gonna be some kind of Cruella Deville? Like all these questions in my head, and I'm like, I don't know. Am I being selfish that I don't want kids? I just don't
Well,
know.
I will tell you a couple things. First of all, because I not only did I raise my own children, I did daycare for 4 years. So, and people would always compliment me on how sweet my children were. Like, oh my gosh, they have such good manners. Well, yeah, because the second they could talk, I taught them that they had to ask please and thank you and say, may I please, not can I, or I want. If they could say I want, then they could ask me, and so, like, all these daycare kids were horrible, and they treated their parents like crap, and the way they talked to them was like demanding, and these parents like, "Ugh, I don't know why he talks to me like that." I'm like, because you tolerate it. You didn't teach them better. Like, you teach them better now by telling them not to talk to you that way. Like, your kid doesn't talk to me that way. Um, so, but also my kids now, they can talk to me however they want, and they're never disrespectful. They cuss in front of me or whatever, but it's we have a good rapport. Like, we have relationship because we talk about things. So it's not always, our parents tried, the best that they could with what they were given, the boomers. They had some pretty emotionally distant parents, but I don't know. I just feel like they fucked up with us. Like, we couldn't ever be close to them. And it's funny because, like, my kids and I are pretty damn close, and they're all teenagers, It's kind of weird. They talk to me about everything.
Mercury for farming put if pregnancy likelihood wasn't treated like a fantasy statistic, 99% effective, etc. Believing in surprise unplanned pregnancies would be treated as superstitious as believing in any counter-natural phenomenon. And if we were in a place where we didn't live in a scarcity environment, whether it's like for money or for jobs or for whatever, I do think pregnancy for women would be so much less. Like, so we would, and I can't speak for myself in the exact scenario that I've been in it. I've had a pregnancy scare once in my life. It wasn't even a scare though. I was just like, well, this would suck. Like, this would just derail. But I was like, almost like I manifested, like, this isn't a reality I'm going to live in. But I feel like if we didn't have to worry about where the next blank was coming from, whatever that is, being pregnant would be whatever, having a baby would be whatever. I don't think there would be any kind of fear attached to it at all.
Yeah.
Like, or for myself, like, if it wasn't a mouth to feed with all that, not that we wouldn't have to go out and
Pressure.
hunt. Yeah, there's so much. And it used to be in the village. So I just, like, if any one of us got pregnant, we would all take care of it. It wouldn't be a scary thing. There's so much fear now that comes with it, and when it should be kind of like the coolest phenomenon on the planet, like the highest magic.
Well, it's funny because my friend, she has what they call family baby. This little girl they call family baby, and I don't even know who the mama is. She's just somebody in their family who, wasn't in a position to take care of this baby. So the whole family, takes care of the baby. Like, some days she's with my friend and her family, and then other days she's with her aunt or, the grandparents. And it's so odd. This baby is just raised by the village, but it's not lacking love at all. It's completely loved, but it's just, I think that's pretty cool.
That's how a lot of villages were back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
you didn't have just parents, you had the entire village who watched out for all the kids in the neighborhood. And
Yeah.
if, let's say I was doing something really wrong, like kissing a boy in the street, whoever it was, if it was like the 17th distant cousin or whatever, like so far away, but they knew my father, yeah, they had permission to beat me. in replace of my father. They have permission, absolutely. Everyone in town had permission. If you see my daughter doing something wrong, you have permission. That's
Yeah.
like your child.
That's how I
Yep.
felt growing up. Like in the South, everybody knew my parents, and if I was fucking up, like pretty much anyone was allowed to, any adult around, I had to be respectful. It was like almost like uh that's where ways though that I think kids could get in trouble sometimes, because there is such a like the adult is always right. You do these certain things, and I think like it's such a like weird 9 times out of 10 we're around good people, but
Yeah.
there is a, you know.
We know the dark side of things now.
Yeah.
Once your eyes are open to it, you're like, oh, well, you don't know who you can trust around your
Well,
kids.
now I know why my parents didn't allow me to sleep over at so and so.
My sister never let any of her kids do sleepovers. Ever,
Yeah, I
ever.
stopped because I used to
Yeah,
let my
we
kids
didn't
sleep over
either.
at my niece with my niece and had huge issues. So
Y'all, I'll just tell you, all the shit in my life that is weird shit happened at sleepovers. All of it. Like the like, and I don't know. I don't know if all little kids that are sexually advanced all were diddled or messed with as kids, but I just felt like, did I just like I'd be at my friend Nikki's house and she'd be humping her stuffed animals, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then like I'd be at homegirl's house over here and she'd be humping the corner of her bed. I just felt like all these girls were humpers, and I was just like kind of an innocent kid. Like, do you guys want to? And here's a weird thing too. I always hung out with my buddy Jacob, and we would play innocently G.I. Joe all night. All night. We would play G.I. Joe, we'd play He-Man, we'd play Legos. And then one day my mom was like, "You're not allowed to stay the night at Jacob's anymore." And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Because you're a little girl and he's a little boy and you're getting too old for that." And I'm like, "Okay." So then I started staying the night at little girls, and they're all humping things. And I'm like, what the hell? I was with Jacob all this time. We were innocently just playing G.I.
Wow.
Joe. And all these little girls are humping things.
I didn't hump anything, and I was pretty innocent until my friend showed me like how to make the Barbies lay down together, and
See,
then I
you
did
went
that
to
with my
some little
Barbies.
girl's house who was
Yeah.
humping things.
Yeah,
I think I was a humper.
We all went to the little girl's like Layla's house, and she was humping things.
I just tried to stand and pee. I always wanted to be a boy.
But I think it's just the perverts that I was surrounded by as a really young girl.
It makes you,
You
a
know.
humper. You're like a humper. Nathan.
You know, perverts in life. This is dandy.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
gotta
Oh.
laugh about it now.
I know, but there's a like that's where I always felt like my innocence was tainted, where people are like, "Oh, adults, be careful what adults your kids are around." No, my innocence was tainted by kids.
Yeah. That's child on child abuse, and I didn't even realize it was as big as it was until my brother kind of said something about it as an adult, and he kind of had a drunken he had a drunken mess, and then afterwards, he and I had a coming to Jesus meeting, and he though it wasn't about Jesus, I'm just using that as a figure of speech. But he talked to me about child on child abuse, and then I started like really tripping and watching my kids and talking to them about that, because it's not just adults. More often than not, it's another kid.
Yeah, that's what I think, at least in my personal experience. And I feel like sometimes even with my own, I think I was born a lesbian, but parts of my personality, I wonder what are like, you know how like sometimes you'll see a little faggalicious kid and it's just a kid, but you're like, oh, that kid's gay. Like you just know that kid's gay. Like it's like whatever. And I wonder sometimes if priests, or I put it on priests, but whoever a dirty adult is seeks out those kids specifically, like the same way an adult can see like that kid's a little sweet. I wonder sometimes in my lesbian if like adults could see that in my little kid. And so they're like, "Oh, this little lesbian?"
I mean, yeah, they had those kids that did those weird things, but where do those kids learn it from?
Yeah.
They're learning.
I
from
know for a
Subtle.
fact one of the girls was
Uh,
totally abused.
yeah.
Like later
Mhm.
on in life,
That's
I
exactly
knew
what happens.
one of the girls was totally abused by adults. And she in turn abused me, but she was older than me. You know, she was like 3 years older than me, but like I'm a little lesbian, so I'm like, okay, game on. But looking at it with my adult eyes, it makes me sad for my little
Yeah.
kid self.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we were both little kids, so I don't really blame her. But like Abby's saying, I think sometimes we think, okay, we have to keep our kids safe from other adults. That's why we don't want them to stay the night at another person's house. But no, it's like the kids they're around while they're at that place when the door is shut or when they're in the room.
And adults don't want to even say that truth because they're like somehow admitting something about themselves that they don't want to admit by saying that out loud.
That they're little kids. Like once that's happened, yeah. But that's I feel like most of the stuff that we're kind of tainted by are other kids. Like most of the words, the things we know. I remember me and my brother, I mean, it's still one of the words that comes out of my mouth the most frequently, like if I'm driving in traffic or something, is dildo. Like I'll be like, look at this dildo over here. Me and my brother were calling each other dildos since we were like 8, where I cannot even imagine the first time my parents heard. I'd be like, whatever, dildo. And like, where did you learn that? Like, we learned it on the playground from some other kids. Like, hey, do you know what a dildo is? And we didn't know. And we were like, no. And they laughed and whatever. So we just started calling each other dildos all the time. It's a fun word to say. I mean, I can't even. Don't say dildo. Is it a bad word? Well, it's not a bad word. And then they have to explain. Like, who wants to tell their kid what a dildo is? No parent ever.
I was really young when I found my parents' dildo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they experimented.
My favorite right
Good for
then
your
was
mom.
just looking
Good for
up
your
at
mom.
Abby. Wow.
I'm glad I never had to experience that, man.
I know.
Okay,
That's
I was
terrifying.
traumatized by my mom's like hippie bush, you know, and hanging out her swimsuit and her waving to the neighborhood with her hairy ass armpits, you know, like I was already traumatized by that shit. If I had to see that, I would have flipped out.
I never, thank goodness, I never had any kind of, look what I'm like, I never had anything. I never walked on my parents having sex. Da, da, da. I grew up in a
didn't either,
nudist
thank God.
colony.
Oh, I did.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too. Out of all the creepy, this is legit. Out of all anything creepy that happened to me in my youth, nothing at the nudist colony. Yeah, nothing. I have no ish with any. I've seen naked men and women my whole life, like so many naked men and women. That is no ish.
That's funny because I was earlier when we were talking about the military and Thomas was talking about boot camp. I was thinking about how for women, it was almost traumatizing for me being in the shower with 40 other women at once.
That would be
there's only 8
traumatizing
shower
for me.
heads and there's 40 women, and it was like, well, because there's 80 women, like 88 total, but 40 go at a time. So, and you have 8 shower heads, and they call it the car wash. You go in, you get wet, and then you get out of the water, and somebody else gets wet while you're lathering up and shampooing, and you literally just go in circles. You know, you wait your turn to get back under the water. But seeing all those naked women, like, you don't realize how different everybody's body is, and like, there's some people I wish I could have unseen. Like, I had nightmare about one girl, like, several times. And I could tell one girl was definitely intersex, like, because she had, like, you know, pubes up past her belly button. And, yeah, stuff I was like, oh, God. Like, some people I just don't want to see naked. I've realized that.
I hear things that where women will pick themselves apart in ways, and I'm just like, ladies, like as varied. Everybody always talks about penis size, and as varied as penis size is, that is how many different looks there are to a vagina.
I
And
would even
so
say nipples. That's what
Nipples,
made
same.
me freaked me out. This one girl had like small egg-shaped boobs, and the whole thing was a nipple, and it was like,
Would you rather have nipple-sized fingers or finger-sized nipples?
Nipple-sized fingers or
finger-sized nipples, I guess, because at least you could hide them. I'd like to use my hands.
Yeah, otherwise you just have little
Yeah.
nubs for hands. You might as well just have finger-sized nipples. That's always
Yeah.
the consensus, I think. It's so funny. It's one of those weird questions. All right. Well, I guess on that note, does anyone else have anything bloody to add?
I'm sorry about the wind.
No worries.
I don't remember.
No, but
The blood.
I don't know. Bloody. I would like a bloody bed.
This was really fun.
No,
It was fun.
yeah, blood. The only things that I could think of were more of our rituals that we had back in the day and traditions and virgins and how, especially on the day of when you lose the virginity, we had to keep that cloth and it was shown around to the neighborhood and the village as proof of pureness and whatever, and you had to keep it for a very long time, apparently, but it was a part of a ritual. And if you are not a virgin, it was over for you, put it that way. It was not good. They can send you
Stoned
back
and shit.
home. Yeah, like they take you back, and they drag you back to your mom and dad's house and say, your daughter is trash. Go put her where she belongs. Like that. They'll look at you like trash. Not anymore, but back in the day.
And it's so big in some cultures that if you were like, and think of how prevalent rape was and is in general, that if you're raped, same. It has nothing to do with, you're no longer pure. No one wants you. You're trash. You can be stoned just for being raped.
Yep.
It's
Even
wild.
if it's not your fault. Insane.
Wild.
Insane.
It does seem very ritualistic. It seems like very high magic. And everywhere I looked, it's in every religious text it's talked about. And one thing that I think that today that I've learned that maybe we should do more is ground our blood out. Like when we bleed, like maybe we are like, oh, I cut myself.
To the ground.
Yeah, like maybe go outside and like
drip on the floor.
Yeah, and clean it up out there instead of being in the sink or whatever. Or I don't know if
It seemed to be a common theme.
yeah. Go on, Gordy.
Oh, I just think it's a really good point. Grounding, like I do it literally every day. Like have to feel like I start to feel off if I'm not like sticking my hands in the dirt somewhere.
What's your sign, Gordy?
Taurus.
Oh, then that's I have a fish tank in my house.
Earth.
Like always running. I always hear water running. My Sag friends are like sitting by fires more than anyone ever. Like it's just I feel like whatever our sign is, like we tend to like we need that like we juice up on that.
Right.
But
being outside and stuff, yeah.
I think I need to ground out more in general. I've been spending a lot more time in the sun.
It's great.
I wonder, speaking of the sun, does dried powdered up blood, since Gordy posted like that little clip earlier, does it have any of the same properties as liquid blood, in structure and magic? Would it have the same properties? Like, could you snort it? Imagine like snorting adrenochrome through your nose like cocaine.
When all the Wayfair shit was happening online, and there, you know, like when the
Powdered
internet was
version.
open, yeah, you could get powdered versions of a lot of stuff.
Adrenochrome, Alibaba, right? Alibaba.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know this
Would you
is
try
where
it?
if Thomas and I were talking about it on that episode of, he's like, if I can get it, because most of the sites that he went to, like when he really got down to it, it was like either a fraud or whatever, that he's like, I'm gonna have to go to the dark web to get it if I can find it at all and see if it's real. And then we were having that discussion. I was like, gosh, I don't think I would do it now knowing. I couldn't do it knowing. But I'm
Yeah.
glad, here's like one of those, like, I'm so grateful I didn't have to make that decision at a different point in life when I was young and dumb and in Hollywood and in the back wrong room when I was already drinking, or like,
Right.
oh, I think this person's cool and I don't even know what it is, but everybody else is doing it. You know, like
Yeah.
I went to the Church of Scientology because I thought it was like an exercise program, essentially. I didn't know it was a church. Like, that's how naive I was at one time in my life. I was like, oh, they're hiring.
Oh man.
Scientology. That seems fun. It's like Orange Fitness.
Isn't it crazy how that Scientology is just on the timeline recently? The whole idea of Scientology. Like I even posted on it. Like all these celebrities. Oh, what do you know on Scientology? Read a book. Just my suggestion to you is just read a book. Read a book. Program your mind. Download the program. Don't ask questions. Just read the book.
Dianetics. It's funny. Dianetics, the front of it is the volcano. Dianetics. That's where I was also like thinking of like, is the Earth's blood oil?
Right. Well, because even you saying the poop thing, you know, with poop and like gold is in veins, right? They find a gold vein.
Gold veins. Yeah.
Yeah.
So wouldn't that make sense if they find these certain, like if we all have it in us, if it was a giant, if we were to fossilize and then they would find
maybe
certain
an
kinds of
intestine
elements.
even though, like the gold vein could be
Yeah. Huh.
not a vein, an intestine.
So gold is made through earthquakes, through the process of an earthquake, and through pockets of heat and gas,
Sounds like gas.
and whatever.
Intestines.
And little gold nuggets.
Huh.
Explosions of gold nuggets.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
I know it would be, if you could find out where all these deposits were and we could pan back and be like, oh, look at where this vein is, attaches to this vein. There's crystal deposits here and this. We'd be like, oh my gosh, that's a huge giant.
Giant. Yeah.
We're so small on the, like, we're living on giants right now. All right. At 3:47, that's when I'll end the stream. Does anyone else want to tell anyone where to find them or anything?
Yeah, wait. This stream you can find on YouTube on Project Chaney.
No, you. Where to find you?
Me? Okay. For me, you can find me on God Pill Angel 333. That's the account I'm using right now. Then I have God Pill Angel 33. That's my original main account, but now it's no longer my main account.
And that's on Instagram?
Yes, on Instagram. And then on TikTok, same thing, God Pill Angel 333. You can find me there. I just share my algorithm, my thoughts on the algorithms, my thoughts on posts, what do I think about them. And yeah, just like to open people's ideas to ideas.
I love
That's it. Yeah.
I know. And we didn't even talk about Moses and the Moors. I guess that'll be a conversation for another day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gordy, Abby?
Gordy Two Shoes on Instagram. That's it.
Do you have any thoughts? Do you have any deep thoughts or songs? Voices?
Yeah, that's what we need.
Do you want to do
Yeah,
Cause tonight will be the Will you try it?
You want me to try it?
Look how many times Layla's done it.
Whoa, it's Layla's thing. I don't
Okay.
want to steal her
Now you can-
thunder.
You'll just feel
it's
it.
not. You're not stealing my thunder, bro.
Don't even put that on me.
No.
You're not stealing. That song is not my
That is
thunder.
not mine to take. I don't want it.
Course the night will be the night.
Now we have to stay until 4:47.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I don't think I can make that long.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Abby, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Abstract1 on Instagram, and I'm also in the Project Chaney Telegram group. So
Perfect. And I was going to ask you what it means to dream
yeah.
about blood.
I don't know. It just depend on the context of the dream, really. Like I said, it's subjective. So it depends on if it's a bad thing or a good thing. Are you consuming it? Are you
Consuming it?
well? Because that's what we're kind of going through that, right? You know what I was thinking about?
Well,
Praying the blood of Jesus over people. Like, have you heard Christians do that?
Yes.
I've always thought that was weird because it's not really biblical.
in Albania, they say when you see blood in a dream, it washes the dream away of it becoming real. So it's like it cleanses the dream. Like it doesn't make it real or manifest. You know, like how you'll get certain messages in a dream. That message will not manifest if it's like a bad dream. Let's say like, oh, you saw yourself dying or somebody dying in your family, or you saw something freaking insane, and then you saw blood. The blood just washes, they say it washes the dream, and it doesn't manifest when you see blood.
Like the whole idea of blood sacrifice, it washes, like sacrificial lamb, it washes away the sin.
You're like, oh, good, you saw blood. Okay, good. So don't even worry. You don't even have to even talk about the dream because the blood washed it off, washed it away.
I would even say if it's from a specific body part, that's where you'd want to check an acupuncture chart like that to see, because it's telling you a specific meridian, like it's telling you a specific part of your body that you're storing old emotion in that you need to get out because it's causing disease. So that would also be a thing. So if you're bleeding, or a dream character, because every person's you is bleeding from a specific area, you'd want to check an acupuncture chart.
Old Eastern medicine again. That old stuff. All right. I love you guys. For the 23 of you still left.
Guys.
I love that you hung out this long, almost 4 hours. So
I know. I'm so proud.
We will be back next week. We'll be hanging out with Michelle from Healing Homes, and we are going to talk about serial killers and horror movies and stuff. It's going to get even more Halloweeny as the month goes on. But anyways, thank you. I love you. Bye-bye.